we are going to discuss everything about Docker, Kubernetes, containers, and how to run the hot topic, which is microservices on containers managed by Kubernetes. We're targeting for beginners, but if you have some advanced topics, I would love you to come up with your questions. Make this session interactive. We're also going to talk about certification, which is Certified Kubernetes Administrator, CK. And the interesting part of today's session is that we are going to have a live demo. I'm always a little bit nervous about demo, but in our training programs, we have done it so many times that hopefully, fingers crossed, everything should go well. Ramesh is very well prepared. He's a Docker and Kubernetes expert. So we'll give you how to build the containers. And after this session also, if you want to go and build, we are going to give you some documentation so you can practice if you want. As I said, just quick housekeeping. Today, you are all muted from our side, but you have an opportunity to ask questions by posting in the chat window. And I want you to make session interactive, ask as many questions as possible. Behind the scene, Ramesh is going to answer all the technical questions or anything that you come related to career, whether it's right for you, should you do this, what are the benefits of doing this. I'll try to answer as much as while we are talking, while we are discussing. But if you have any questions, guys, don't wait. Post those questions, and at each logical point, I'll be answering those questions, or Ramesh will be answering the questions. And if not, we will take these questions towards end. So we'll make sure that we answer your questions in today. And if not, we'll put it in, or we'll drop an email and we'll answer it via the email. So today's topic is about Docker and Kubernetes for beginners, including certification, which is CK, including live demo. So what you see here, this is what you will learn. I'll talk about that in a minute in detail, but very high level, why you must learn Docker, or specifically called containers. I'm going to use word Docker or container interchangeably, but I'll explain the meaning when we come to what is container, what is Docker. We'll talk about Kubernetes. So in Docker, what is container, what is Docker, architecture of Docker, and why Kubernetes is becoming so famous, especially in last 4 or 5 years, and why everyone is using Kubernetes. We'll look at architecture, brief, very high level overview, pods, and very high level overview about highly available and highly scalable application, how you can build them on Kubernetes. But the star show of today's is about demo, and we are going to run containers or a web server as a container, or on a container, which is container platform using Docker. So we'll show how to install the container platform, that's Docker. We will talk in the context of Linux, but what are the options available for you? We'll talk about something called as images. How do you push and pull images? How do you create containers from an image? And how do you launch a website using containerization? And I know it's going to be extensive, a little bit lengthy class, but it will be full of information, very useful information. We'll also talk about Kubernetes certifications. There are 3 certifications available: CKA, Administrator, CKS for security, and CKAD, which is Certified Kubernetes Application Developer. We'll also talk about cloud is where industry is moving, and why every cloud vendor, be it AWS, Azure, Google, Oracle, IBM, everyone has adapted Kubernetes. So the implementation of Docker and Kubernetes on AWS cloud, which is ECS, Elastic Container Service, EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service, and Fargate, which is serverless implementation of Docker and Kubernetes on AWS cloud. And then we'll do the question answers towards end. As I said, I'll usually take questions in the middle as well, but we know that there's a huge, big audience here today. So it may not be possible to everyone's question at every point, but we'll try to take questions at each logical point. And then we'll also make this session interactive. We'll take all the questions, remaining questions towards end. For some reason, if we have a time constraint, then we might ask or take it over the email over the next 1 or 2 weeks. Also, there is a limited time gift for action takers. I'll also tell you how you can get hold of this gift. I will talk about that towards end. And whatever you're going to learn, how you can take it to the next level, we are going to talk everything about this. So we always get excellent feedback in these sessions. And at some point in the session, we'll ask you for the feedback. And we would love to get 5 star out of 5, but give and tell us genuinely what we can do to improve for future sessions like that. But you will learn a lot, great degree of on today's session. Now, with that, let's begin with, let's go a little bit back evolution of development and deployment. And if you're coming from 80s and 90s, the development process used to be waterfall model. The application architecture used to be monolithic, where one big bulky application, you must have heard mainframes. Servers used to run on physical servers, like physical machine with the operating system, and the application infrastructure used to be in customers' data center. Then came 2000 and the era of agile, where companies were developing in agile, using agile methodology. There were n tier of applications where you had a database tier, application tier, and a web tier. And then we saw VMware virtualization or virtual servers. And then your application infrastructure used to be like either data center or hosted server hosted in someone else's data centers. And then came 2010 or onwards, or now the era in which we are living right now, the development process has been in DevOps methodology. You see applications are broken down from n-tier or monolithic application to smaller functionality-wise application deployed as a microservices. And these microservices run on top of containers managed by Kubernetes or tools like Kubernetes, these containers. And the infrastructure has gone to the cloud. So what you should be learning in today's world is containers, Kubernetes, and cloud, and maybe a little bit DevOps. We'll talk about all these things in today's session. So what happened was back in 2013, Google has been using containers and Kubernetes for quite a number of years. There was before Kubernetes, there was a project from Google. They've been building on a project called Borg behind the scenes. And then when Docker came in 2013, the Docker made containerization very, very simple and easy to follow. So Google is the one which started the trend of adapting Docker in 2013, and suddenly everyone started following that containerization when Docker made containerization very, very simple. So if you look at in last 5 years, in 2017 or last 3-4 years, it was 1.12 billion industry, when grown almost now double in last 3 years, and it's going to, or last 4 years, it's been tripled, and it's going to grow extensively going forward as per the 451 research. And that is where industry is moving. Containerized is where industry is moving. Now these containers, from a management point of view, use Kubernetes to manage these containers. And that is where Kubernetes is the biggest player in containerization, where 69% of this container workload is managed by Kubernetes. So these two things, containers used interchangeably with Docker, and Kubernetes is where industry is moving towards. So two words. Now, when I'm going to use word container or Docker, Docker is a type of container. There are multiple containers, but Docker is quite famous, an industry-leading container platform on which you run your applications. Whereas Kubernetes is the one which you, using that, you manage, orchestrate, and administer your container-based applications. We'll talk about that as we grow, as we go further down in this free class, containers and Kubernetes. So if you look at market trends, now more and more companies are using Kubernetes, and it's growing at a very rapid pace. This is, I'm telling you about 2019 numbers, where in 2019, around 40,000 companies were using, and all the big companies, be it SAP, Cisco, American Express, JP Morgan, Accenture, you name a company like Uber or Netflix or Google as a Gmail, everyone have started adopting Kubernetes, and that has transacted into an average salary of 150,000 per annum. And this is, I'm talking about average. There are guys who are earning more than 200,000 plus as well, depending on what all additional things you know with Docker and Kubernetes, like implementation on cloud or security and few other things. Whereas 150 is very common in, if you look in the US market, about that salary with Docker and Kubernetes. And if you look at the market trends in last 4-5 years, this is where Kubernetes started in 2015, when Google donated their Borg project to the open world source managed by Cloud Native Computing Foundation, the organization now behind Linux. That's when the Kubernetes started. So it's not very old. It's like just 5-6 years old technology. Started in 2015 and have grew exponentially. And this has resulted in the job opportunities have grown very high for Kubernetes and containers market. So if you look at the jobs in US, jobs in UK, jobs in India, you will come across hundreds and hundreds of jobs for Kubernetes. Why? Because companies have started adopting Kubernetes as a platform on which they run their containers, on which they run their applications, microservices based applications. So if you look at the US, there is a Kubernetes, everywhere you'll see come across Kubernetes jobs. And that's the reason why I think you should be learning Kubernetes if you have not already started. If you already started, good. I'm going to teach you about the like how you can take it to the next level in terms of how do you do certification and then get hold of these highly paid jobs in Kubernetes. Now it's totally possible to do this certificate, getting a job as well. Here are some of the examples which I'll take and explain you a little bit later from one of our members. Raj Lakshmi got an offer from based in US. In spite of having a 2 years gap, she got an Infosys or a job in Infosys. Another one, Gagi, was already working as a DevOps engineer, have now done the certification in Kubernetes, working as a DevSecOps engineer, as well as Kubernetes security and Kubernetes administrator. So it's totally possible to get a job. Another one as well. And we'll talk about these success stories a little bit later. First, I want to give you and say how you, if you're just starting out or if you're already working but would like to go for a higher paid job, how you can get hold of those. So I said there are a lot of job opportunities and there are people are also getting a job as well, but I see there is a problem in getting a job. And you might have come across, you send a CV, but you don't get a job or you don't hear anything from employers. How many of you guys are here? Just give me a chat window and say, I've applied for jobs, but not hearing anything on back. Let me know how many of you guys are like that who've applied for the jobs. Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. There are jobs. Yes, Krishna or Rahman. Yes, absolutely. So what's happening in current world is there are too many CVs, and especially after COVID, there are a lot of guys who are either out of job or worried about job, and they're applying for the CVs. And when an employer get a CV, they get hundreds and hundreds of CV for particular role. Now, let's suppose you are an employer and you have to pick up one CV because you know there is only a limited time and you can only interview selective guys. So will you pick up a left-hand person or right-hand person? And you have not looked at, you don't have a lot of time. You just need to interview one. Put in the chat window, type L for left or R for right, and tell me why you will pick, which one you will pick first of all, L or R, and which one you will pick and why. Let me know in the chat window and I'll take a sip of, and tell me the reason as well. Mayank, Subhash, RR, tell me the reason as well, guys, please. Why you would pick right one as well? Yes, yes, yes. Everyone is pretty much R certification since it is absolutely spot on. So I'm not saying that certification will get you a job, but certification will definitely help you in picking your CV. So certification will help in picking the job CV, and there are 3 certifications available for you, which we'll talk a little bit later. So there is first one, which highly recommend you to anyone who is not from development background, anyone who is just starting out in Docker, Kubernetes, cloud native, containers, microservices. You begin with certified Kubernetes administrator. If you are a developer, then you should be going for certified Kubernetes application developer. And eventually, I want everyone to do the security because that's one of the highest paid job. But for security, you need to be a certified Kubernetes administrator in order to get this certification. So what when I talk about this certification, where to have to write, I'll take up all the questions, where to write certification, how to do it, what to prepare. I'm going to talk all of that, Sujata, in that as well. But I get a lot of questions when people say that, hey, certification alone is not enough. And I'll discuss about that as well. But this is an exam overview. We'll talk about this, what all topics you need to learn and how you need to learn. But you're right. Those of you said, hey, that's right. That certification alone is not enough for you. Certification will help you in picking up your CV, but you need to have the knowledge. And for that knowledge, we learn and suggest 21-step learning path. Some of these things we are going to learn today here. So you start, and the first thing you start with is microservices versus monolithic. What is the difference between monolithic versus microservices, so that you can understand the concepts? And that is what we are going to learn today. Another thing you should be learning is what is the difference between VM and containers. So VM was, or a VMware or virtualization was a big thing in 2000 and 2000 till 2010. And then when 2013-14 Docker came, they revolutionized the whole game. And that is where containers came. So what is the difference between VM and containers, and why containers suddenly have become so famous? Why everyone is learning on containers? That's another thing you should be learning. We're going to learn that today. But then Docker is not the only option. Docker is the one which made it famous, but at the biggest player, and I highly recommend you to learn Docker. But there are other container options like Containerd, CRIO, Podman, LXC, Rocket, Runc. So you should have a brief idea, but I think focus on Docker strongly. Once you know the Docker or understand these containers, you should be, point number 4, you should be learning is Docker containers architecture. So architecture we'll look at today as well. Then we'll look at Docker installation options. How do you install Docker and what are the options available? We'll talk about that as well today. So once you understand the Docker installation, then you should be doing Docker containers, images, and what is image? How do you, where do you store these images? Because you spin off containers from those images. So how do you create those images? How do you build them? How do you store them? How do you spin off the containers from them? So once you've started the containers, point number 7 is you do the container state, or how do you start them? How do you do the start, stop, pause, delete, or terminate your containers? You should also be knowing about networking for containers, like networking and storage, different type of networking, how they talk to each other within same machine, across machines. How do you have the persistent store? Now all of you must have heard of persistent store, where data must be stored persistently. So how do you store that data persistently? And then finally, Compose, Docker Compose, which is like multiple applications running inside a container, or multi-container applications. This. So once you've understood 10 points on Docker, once you've understand the containers, then you go for Kubernetes. So what is Kubernetes? You understand the Kubernetes, and then you understand Kubernetes architecture. You understand Kubernetes different objects like pods, deployment, daemon set, high availability, auto scaling, troubleshooting, debugging. How do you then install the Kubernetes? There are different ways to install Kubernetes. In exam, you should be doing using kubeadm. Then similarly, how do you install and configure Kubernetes? From an exam point of view, from an implementation point of view, most common is kubeadm. So how do you do that? And then how do you manage the different components of Kubernetes? And then networking Kubernetes, your load balancers, different type of connectivity where your applications can configure, different type of services. How do you do that? Point number 17. And then Kubernetes ingress controller, which is nothing but a type of load balancer. You should also be knowing storage in Kubernetes and the security in Kubernetes, basic security like role-based access control, security firewall, network policy. And once you have done all these 20 steps or 20 things you have learned, then you're ready to apply for the certification CK21 step. So I hope that makes sense. I know I went a little bit quicker, but this is just to go because we have a lot to cover. But just these are the 21 steps we recommend you to do. Go from complete beginner to a certified Kubernetes administrator. And when you apply for these jobs with this knowledge, that's when you learn and understand. Now, all this with a hands-on lab, not just theory, but you need to learn this with the hands-on labs. You need to perform these. So we recommend 11 hands-on lab for Docker or containers, where you install the Docker, where you, and today we are going to look at some of these things, how quick and easy it is for you to learn. And people say it's complicated because it's complicated if you don't know. Once you know, it becomes very easy. So how do you do networking? How do you do the storage? How do you do DNS logging, Docker file? What is Docker file? How do you create them? And then another 30, total 34, 35 labs, how on Kubernetes, especially the more advanced ones, like how do you do the pod scheduling, where you do or configure that your application always goes on a particular node. And now you might be confused right now, hey, what the terminology I'm using? Don't worry, I'm going to cover all those. This is just to give you a glimpse of what all you should be doing. So you'll be doing debugging, troubleshooting, troubleshooting the network level failures, high availability, disaster recovery, all those things in Kubernetes. So these 34 labs, and this is a 12-week roadmap we suggest and recommend. So you understand microservices, Dockers, networking, storage, Kubernetes, deployment, high availability, advanced networking, and preparation for the certification. And the most important is project work. Do a couple of project works, prepare for certification, sample questions, and then write this exam. And that is where you get jobs. And that is where you get the knowledge. And we'll cover that some of that today, as I said. So what we have done is we have put all this in a step-by-step training program. It's a comprehensive training program, which I'm going to talk you towards end. It's a 17 module, 70 plus lessons, 33 plus hands-on lab, exam preparation, project work, and the most important is on-job support. We provide, if you like today what we are going to teach, if you love today, it's totally free for today. But then if you like, and if you have to go on a more step-by-step program, I would love you to join this program. There are only 50 seats. I'll talk about that towards end, just to give you that or make you aware that something like this is available for you. Now, as I said, these are some of the success stories to inspire you. These are some of our previous students who have successfully cleared the certification, like Vamsi, or another one here, Sachin, another one, Gargi, Lalita. I have list on and on and on. We can keep going on and on of that. I'll share some of these success stories a little bit later. Piyush is there, Tushar is there. These are the guys who successfully cleared the certification. So it's not just talk, it's not just fluff, it's actually it works. And I'm going to share, and we'll give you some of the demos today for this. So as I was saying that with that, so you saw microservices, you saw containers, but we also saw that these things are growing aggressively on cloud. And that is where with Kubernetes, we also see there are a lot of job opportunities with AWS cloud or cloud in turn. So Kubernetes companies expect, or this is where the high paid job I was saying, more than 150,000 AWS. So if you see whether in US, India, UK, these are the three are commonly used, but these are applicable whether in Europe, you are in France, Singapore, or any part of Europe or Singapore or Malaysia, Australia, Middle East, anywhere you are, you will see these opportunities. So Kubernetes with AWS. Now, if you stay till end, you're going to get a free gift as well, which is Docker and Kubernetes on AWS, which is ECR, Elastic Container Registry, ECS, Elastic Container Service, EKS, which is Elastic Kubernetes Service, and Fargate Serverless. We're going to teach about, or we'll give that bonus. We sell this separate program as $497. You can get it absolutely free. I'll tell you towards end how you can get it free. And with extensive hands-on lab on how to register for AWS Cloud, how do you create and configure your registry where your images are stored. What are images we'll cover today. How do you configure ECS, Elastic Container Configure Registry, ECS, Elastic Container Services, and then EKS, which is Kubernetes on AWS. How do you launch your worker nodes? How do you deploy applications on Kubernetes? And then Ingress controller deployment, which is nothing but a load balancer, software load balancer or application load balancer on that to balance the load. Using Helm. Helm is another application deployment or package manager for Kubernetes. How do you do that? And then using dynamic provisioning, using persistent store, which is called as Elastic Block Storage in AWS. So you will be learning that. And then finally, serverless version of Kubernetes, which is Fargate. So, and again, just to say this, all these things I'm talking about is the one which actually works for our students, and it will work for you as well. So with that, enough about it, and I've shared too many. This is just to inspire you, to make you that what you're going to learn today, if you work hard, it's going to give result. And we have stories after stories of success stories on our website with their LinkedIn profile, all available for you. Apart from that, we also do a small workshops. If your team is, if you have a team and you want to empower your team with Kubernetes, Docker, Cloud, let my team know, and we'll be happy to help and assist you. These are some of our global customer audiences. And with that, let's focus on today learning for the reason why you came, which is Docker, Kubernetes, and then demo. When demo comes, I'm going to bring Rakesh because he's the one who's going to bring or give a demo. Very quickly, for those who don't know me, I have 20 plus years of experience working in IT. I'm based in UK, London. I came to UK in 2004, primarily from India, but I'm an author. And the main important point is I've helped 5,500 like you to learn different things, right from cloud native, Kubernetes, Docker, or Oracle, Azure, different cloud, which we'll talk a little bit later. But today's hero is Ramesh. He's going to walk you through and giving a demo. He has 15 plus years of experience on designing complex systems, not only just Docker, Kubernetes, but also Red Hat, OpenStack, AWS, and I've done 100 plus corporate customers and 1,000 plus trainees. We'll talk. I'm going to bring him when I give the demo or when we're ready to demo. Now, before we move on, just tell a little bit more about how many of guys are beginner, how many are intermediate, and how many are expert. Just type B for beginner, I for intermediate, and E for expert, so that I can accordingly go deep or high level, and keep these questions coming so that I can answer all those questions, or Rakesh is going to answer all the questions behind the scene for you. Ramesh is going to answer that. I keep mixing. I have another trainer, Rakesh, so I keep mixing. Sorry for Ramesh for that. Extremely sorry. So Ramesh will be answering all the questions behind the scene. Or Venu saying, are you courses live session or recorded? Ours are both, Venu. We'll talk about that. The course is both recorded as well as live. We usually do live interactive, but we give recorded free, so that when you come to the class, before coming to the class, we can give you and say what to expect and come a little bit prepared. So we have live interactive session. We'll talk about that a little bit later, Venu. Good. Okay, so any prerequisite to learn Docker and Kubernetes? We'll talk about that, Kamlesh, as well. Yes, there is a prerequisite, which is Linux. As long as you have basic Linux knowledge, you can learn Docker and Kubernetes. If you don't, that's covered as well. We are going to give you a Linux for beginners if you don't know, and you don't need a Linux guru. All you need is how to create a file, how to delete a file, and all those things. So we'll talk about that as well in a minute. Good. So there are a lot of questions are coming. We're going to answer those questions. One question before I move. Sakshi is saying, can you enlighten a little bit on Docker certification as well? I'll recommend you not to do Docker certification for a number of reasons. In Docker certification, there's a big portion on Docker Swarm. We'll talk about that, which is a competitor to Kubernetes. But the Docker Swarm is very, very small market share, just 2% market share. Focus on Kubernetes. My session today would be go for Kubernetes CKS, Certified Kubernetes Security. And if you're a developer, you should focus on CKAD as well. So don't go for Kubernetes as well. So don't go for, Docker certification, go for Kubernetes certification. And let me take all the questions as well. I'm targeting for, Vinay is saying, I'm targeting for Azure Cloud Architect, then Docker and Kubernetes admin. Wonderful. We are going to give you the Kubernetes on Azure. There's many interesting things coming, so stay tuned, guys. So as there are a lot of beginners, I'm going to keep it high level, but if there are intermediate expert, please ask questions, and Ramesh is going to answer the question behind the scene. So let's make this session interactive, focus, and ask a lot of questions. Let's begin with, first of all, what is microservices and containers? I've given you that, microservices there, everyone's moving towards microservices, containers. So what is microservices? Why everyone has gone crazy about containers and microservices? So I mentioned about this. I've already said microservices, containers. I'm repeating this because that's where industries is currently in cloud. So in that, there is a monolithic application. It used to be like applications used to build like that, where all the functionality is in one big bulky application. So this is like, think it's a Uber application where passenger management, billing, notification, payment, driver management, trip management, everything is one application. Now challenge with this is, let's suppose suddenly there is a big suddenly there's an overload on passenger management, or suddenly the overload on trip management. Suddenly there's a lot of guys who are doing trip management, but payment is very small, billing is small, passenger management is less, it's just trip management. So scaling up, if I have to scale this application, I have to scale entire application, and that is quite big and bulky. So if this application takes maybe 8 GB of memory and maybe 1 GB of disk space, I need to scale up and I have to run 100 copies of that. I have to do it 100 times. If I have to modify this, if I have to change this functionality, I have to test the entire functionality, and takes very time consuming. So came microservices. This entire functionality is divided to small functionalities like billing, passenger management, passenger web UI. And now I have to scale up passenger web UI. I can have just this part, 100 copies of this, remaining in maybe two copies of each. So I can scale up that individual part running as a microservices deployed on top of container. And container, I can spin off 100 copies of just passenger web UI. Moreover, if I have to test something, let's suppose I have to test passenger web UI, I'm only testing passenger web UI. I'm also only the related links with passenger web UI. So I have to test this, and this, only 3 parts. I don't need to test entire application. So that is what the benefit of microservices, that is where industry is moving towards. Now, microservices, you can deploy them into bare metal. Bare metal is nothing but a physical machine, deploy the operating system on top of that, and run my application. I can run it on a virtualization. My operating physical machine, a virtualization software like VMware or Zen, and then create a virtual machine on top of that and deploy application. Or I can deploy a operating system and containers on top of that using container platform. And this is the recommended approach. I'll explain you in a minute. That is how you do. So you run containers and deploy microservices on top of that. You deploy container. So these are my 3 different applications, and web application, maybe different applications and running on their own containers. And I can run spin off multiple copies of these front-ended by maybe API gateway. So that is what containers deployed. Now the question will come, hey, why not in virtualized machine? Why not VM? Or why not bare metal, and why containers? And this is where you need to understand the difference between container and VM. Now, again, as I said, Docker is a type of container. So Docker is a type of container. There are other containers as well. So what you do is your physical servers, like nothing but a hardware, which is CPU memory. And here you can directly install an operating system. Here you run a hypervisor, virtual machine in VM. You run a hypervisor, and then you run your virtual machines. So each virtual machine will have its guest operating system. Whereas in Docker or containers, you run a Docker engine on top of, like, or a container in runtime like Docker. And then all you need to do is run containers, application 1, application 2, application 3 in their own containers. And what that benefit of that is that within the same hardware, I can run maybe 30, 40 containers. Whereas if I'm running on VM, I cannot run that many applications because application is big, bulky. If you look at size, here, one application might take me 8 GBs because I have a full-fledged operating system. Whereas here, I'll be a couple of MBs. I can run a web server with just 5 MB, 10 MB. We'll see that in a minute here. My entire application, couple of MBs. And here you can have boot up time, which is like, it'll take probably 30, 40 seconds, or maybe a minute or 2 minutes to boot up a Linux machine or a VM or a Windows machine, whereas containers take seconds to boot up, couple of seconds or microseconds to boot up. And that is the beauty of having containers. Scaling up becomes easy. Scaling up, deploying applications become easy. So that is containers versus Docker. Now, container concept, as I said, container Docker is nothing but a packaged application, all its dependencies, a thin layer of operating system, all its binaries, libraries combined together. Your developers will, whether it's a .NET application, whether it's a Java application, whether it's a PHP application, Python, any application you do, you put it into a container and then you run it without any dependency. All the dependencies inside the container itself or Docker itself. So that's what Docker provides. So that when developers develop application and it comes to the administrator or it comes to the server teams should not say, oh, it's not working because dependencies are not met. Why? Because Docker will include all the dependencies, everything. So there's no friction between developers and the administrators. So that's what Docker provides. It provides a platform to run your application and all its dependencies built within that application. That's what it is. So this is the Docker architecture look like. You have a server. On that, you're going to deploy a Docker daemon. And daemon is nothing but a process which always runs and listen your client request. Client in this case be me as an administrator. And this is registry, which we'll see is an image repository in which you'll store your repository. This is where you will store your images. And those images will come and fetched from the from something called as image repository. We'll see that Docker Hub, and it'll come. And from images, I can start the containers. So this is my, for example, one image, for example, my Python application or PHP application. From this image, I can spin off 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 containers. Similarly, this is my Nginx application, for example, I can spin off, or Redis application, I can spin off 4, 5, 6 applications. So that is in a nutshell. I have a Docker container Docker host. On that, the Docker process is running, and from images, I'll be spinning off multiple applications. These images are given to me by my developers. So Docker is a client-server architecture, and where it interacts, and I'm getting all the data from here and starting the servers. So this is why my applications are. Now the question comes, hey, I get everything, I can start containers. Why the hell I'm using Kubernetes? Why even Kubernetes are required? And this is where, if you have in your deployment, let's suppose you have multiple machines. You have machine 1, machine 2, machine 3, and you're running 10, 20, 30 containers here. You're running 10, 20, 30 containers here, 10, 20, 30 containers here. because you want to scale, you want to be fully utilizing your application or the underlying infrastructure. Now, if you have 3, 4, 5 containers, it's okay. You can manage an individual. But if you have 30, 40 containers running on each machine and you like that, you have 10, 15 machines, suddenly your containers become 200, 300 containers. And managing those containers using container platform is not easy. And that is where container orchestration tools like Kubernetes, Mesos, or Docker Swarm comes into picture. So you have different market players who manage these containers, who manage these, orchestrate and manage and start and stop these containers. So Mesos, Kubernetes, and this. And if you look at Kubernetes is leader in that market of container management. Companies don't want to manage containers manually. It becomes very tiring, very challenging. Your application might go down. Your networking, you need to sort out networking. And that is where Kubernetes handle everything. Or these are all container orchestration tools, and Kubernetes leader in that. As per SysDig report on 2019, 77% market share is Kubernetes. And I've heard it's gone higher as well now, 83%. And when someone is asking, should I do Docker certification? Docker also has Swarm. Swarm is something similar to Kubernetes for Docker company, but that's only 5%. And it's going to grow. It's now, I've heard as of today, it's around 2% or not, or so. So this is where Kubernetes, this is why you should be learning Kubernetes. So what is Kubernetes? Kubernetes is an open source container orchestration tool. Orchestration means starting, stopping, deleting, managing, scaling up, troubleshooting, debugging, all those things. So it automates your application deployment, scaling up of application, management of application. It was originally designed by Google from a project called BOG, and they donated it to open source Cloud Native Computing Foundation. Those are the guys who now do this certification. The organization behind Linux, same company, which is maintained by CNCF, Cloud Native Computing Foundation is the organization. So what Kubernetes provide, or what are the Kubernetes? If you see architecture here, you have a master node. It's kind of a brain. This is to manage multiple worker nodes. So worker node is nothing but imagine your machines. So your machine 1, machine 2, like that you can have 10, 15, 20 machines. And within these machines, you deploy something called as pod. So Kubernetes doesn't understand the word container. They understand the word pod. And in pod, you define containers. So container pod is nothing but collection of one or more container on which your application runs. Let me repeat one more time. Pod is nothing but collection of one or more containers on which your application runs. So underlying, you will have Docker or any other container runtime. And then on top of that, you will have Kubernetes managing these containers as a pod on which your application runs and mentally managed centrally. And now your users, they can come to and access these pods or applications running on pods. So Kubernetes is to deploy, maintain, and a scalable application. You can edit and run applications. You can schedule application as per node need. So you can say start it maybe 2 copies. As load increases, add maybe 5 copies. And in the program that we mentioned at the start, we are going to give you the hands-on lab on as the load increasing on a server or on an application, Kubernetes will automatically spin off more pods for you. And as load decreases, it will spin off and reduce. Now, if you accidentally delete or something happens to the pod, your Kubernetes will go and automatically start another pod. And that's the beauty of pod or the Kubernetes. It will automatically manage and maintain your application. That's why companies are using Kubernetes, because it will go and start its own, it will manage it. You tell it to say 5 pods, it will run 5 pods always. If anything goes down, it will automatically start something else new. It will kill that and start, it will clean up everything. If the load increases, increase. If load decreases, it will bring it back to the original value. It can also do your monitoring, logging. It can also do role-based access control. Who can access what and where and how? All these are Kubernetes provide. Now, as I said, Kubernetes is not just only cloud on-premise. Kubernetes, it became so famous, it becomes so widely used, popular, that companies realize they can't live without, or cloud companies realize they can't live without Kubernetes. So they have their own implementation of Kubernetes. They picked up the Kubernetes, picked packaged within their wrapper on top of that, AWS EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service, Azure AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service, Google Kubernetes Engine, Oracle Kubernetes Engine, DigitalOcean, IBM, name a company, cloud company, they have cloud Kubernetes implementation. And these are the things that you should be learning, not only just Kubernetes and Docker, but also how to implement these on cloud. So as I said, pod, I said briefly about a pod. So pod is nothing but your worker. These are your nodes or machines on which you've installed Docker, or it can be any other container runtime. On top of that, there's a process runs kubelet, which is a Kubernetes concept. So there is a process runs, and there you create a pod, and pod will have one or more containers, maybe two containers, depending on your requirement. So that's pod. Similarly, you can build a highly scalable application. You can have two. I've just represented here two nodes or machines. You can have 10, 15, 20. Now, within that, sorry. So you can have within that, you can start and say deploy, and your pod running on here with one container 10.10.10.3 IP. And then you deploy something called as service, and front-ended by service. So your service act as a load balancer and forwarding requests to these multiple backend servers here. So 10.10.3, and then another service here 10.10.4. And then suddenly, if let's suppose anything goes wrong with this pod or this pod, my Kubernetes, this master node will automatically start another one for you, and then start forwarding requests through this service or a load balancer. And these are the kind of things you'll be doing physically on the lab and the program if you do decide to join the program, which I said at the end. So this is where, just to give you again, I wish I could go. There's a lot of questions are coming, and I wanted to give you the demo of containers. How do you do Docker or containers demo? So I'll give you a glimpse, and then I'll hand it over to Ramesh, who will be picking up all the questions. I hope he's picking up the questions, and I hope these questions are keep coming. Khalid saying, what is the maximum number of containers under one pod? Usually you put one container per pod, but technically you can do more, but ideally one-on-one. If some certain requirements, then you might do more as well. I think there are a lot of questions about program as well. I'm going to talk about program as well. And there are a lot of questions are coming, DevOps, Ansible, I will cover that as well. I think Kala is saying, I think without Kubernetes, Ansible can also run Docker command on many machines and manage it. Yes, but it's not as robust as, it will only be starting it, but it's not as, you can't compare Ansible with Kubernetes. No doubt about it. Great. Okay, there are a lot of questions are coming. I'll cover that, but let's continue from here. Docker container demo. And what we are going to do is, this is when you install the Docker, you have underlying hardware. On top of that, you can install operating system, and that operating system can be Linux, Windows, or Mac. Today, we are going to do Linux, and within Linux, Ubuntu flavor. And that's what we're going to teach in our main training program as well. But you can pick any. The reason why we picked up Ubuntu is because that's one of the most common deployment you have Linux on. Then on top of that, we are going to install Docker. So we already, what Ramesh has done is he's already installed an operating system and machine ready and with Ubuntu. And then on top of that, he will install Docker, and then we'll start. You can have the container, which is with Windows operating system. You have an Ubuntu machine, you have Windows operating system with Windows-based application running, maybe Apache or maybe a IIS or something. You can have another one of Linux with a database. Third one, container as a Linux. You can have different flavor of your operating or containers running on top of one Docker. And that's the beauty of containers running, and you can spin off as many containers as you can, depending on, you can also specify how much memory and CPU you want to give. You can say 1/10 of CPU. You can say 1/100th of CPU. You can say maybe 2 MB of memory. You can assign all these to containers. So that's what is Docker we are going to do. Now, Docker has two type of options. There is a community edition, which is free. There's an enterprise edition, which we have paid. We are going to pick community edition, which is free. Now you can install this Docker in your data center. You can install it on container or cloud. We are going to pick up, I think Ramesh has picked up AWS cloud. Ramesh, if you're here, can you unmute yourself and tell me which one we have picked up? I think we have either picked up Azure or AWS.
AWS today.
Oh, wonderful, Ramesh. And I'm sorry, Ramesh, I wanted to introduce you to you, and I'll introduce you in a nicer way. But I would love you to share your experiences and maybe the demo part here. And I'm running a little bit behind the schedule, but I think we should be able to catch up. So we'll be doing this, and then you can also deploy it on a laptop, desktop. Ideally, you should do it on cloud. We'll give you steps on AWS. And then you can install this Docker on Linux, Windows, or Mac. Any of these you can install. So this is the command which he's going to use. So he'll be first updating the Linux machine using sudo, and we'll updating in Ubuntu, you update using apt. in your Linux, you probably update using yum. And then we are installing, if there is any previous Docker installation, you can remove it like that. But this is where you're installing Docker, and all you need is just one command, which is docker install. That's it, installation done. We are going to enable it and start it on automatically. And now we have the Docker daemon running. And once Docker daemon is running, you can check the version and you can start off the containers. And then pulling the image, he'll also show you how to push and pull images through which you start your containers. So you have a Docker daemon running, and on the same machine will act as a client, but you can have a client separately as well. But usually you can also put client on the same machine. We are going to give you run that client command from the same. So we can run docker run, docker pull, push. These are commands for this. And here we are going to, by default, in Docker machine, there'll be no image. So we will be pulling this image from here, which is or somewhere on the internet, which is Docker Hub. This is we call registry or hub. From here, we are going to pull the image and bring it to the local machine. And from these images, then we are going to start container. And you can start as many containers as you want, or your machine can support based on the memory and CPU you've allocated. So that's what we are going to do it demo. We'll install Docker and we'll bring the image as well. And then we will be saying, if you see here, Docker pull, I'm pulling the Alpine, which is nothing but a thin operating system. It's like 5 MB operating system, Alpine operating system. Or I can say Docker image pull. So I'm getting an image, and then later from this image, I can start a container. So that's what we are going to do. And we can push it as well. Now I'm running a command container and saying Docker run Ubuntu. So I'm installing or running a Ubuntu machine here. Or you can do Docker web server. So with that, as I said, Ramesh, he's an expert. I'm going to hand it over to Ramesh. And while I'm handing over to Ramesh, let me see and introduce him as well. So Ramesh, if you can share your machine as well, I'm making you presenter. Okay, so I'll say Ramesh, he is an expert in this domain. He is a Kubernetes, as I said, Docker and Kubernetes expert. He's been teaching our Docker and Kubernetes for quite a number of years now. He's also a corporate trainer, and he also does not just Docker and Kubernetes, but OpenShift, which is an enterprise version of Kubernetes, or IBM's version or Red Hat's version of Kubernetes. With that, I know we have not given you a lot of time, Ramesh. I'm extremely sorry, but if you can tell quickly and then show them and maybe just 1 or 2 liner about what you're doing with each command. Over to you, Ramesh.
Yeah, thank you very much, Atul. Welcome everyone. I hope that you are doing good. Fantastic, guys. I must say that Atul, I was just answering the question. There are a lot of questions coming on. There are a lot of doubts are there, and this is a really good enthusiastic crowd, guys. We will answer your all questions. Don't worry about that. All right. So let me show you the basic demonstration of how we can pull the container, how we can launch the container by using pulling the image. I hope that you can see my screen.
Yes, Ramesh, your screen is visible. So right now we are on a machine where machine name is Docker. But if you've not installed Docker, we have you installed Docker, Ramesh, or not yet on this?
Yeah, I'll just show them how to do that.
Okay, great.
Yeah, right.
So right now it's just a machine. We have not installed anything. He's installing the Docker first. Over to you.
Yeah, correct. So this is my host name. I have set the host name of this machine as a Docker. This is my Red Hat machine. It is similar, like you can say Ubuntu and CentOS also. Right, I wanted to deploy with the Ubuntu, but this got I just got this one. All right. So how do you install this Docker on the specific machine, like on the Linux or let's say Ubuntu machine, Ubuntu or Red Hat or CentOS? You can use simple one command. You can use yum install Docker. You can use star. Automatically, all the packages related to Docker will catch up, and it will install it. If you are using a Ubuntu box, you can use apt-get install command. It is very simple to install it. And look at this, it is installing, and it is already installed. So that's why it is saying that packages are there. So it is already installed, guys. So it is just one single command will install them, all the packages related to Docker. Once the packages are installed, then how you can confirm that it is installed or not? You can use simple command called as a docker ps or docker version to check the version of the Docker, right? And you can see that it is a 1.13 version is installed in this machine. As well as if you want to see how the Docker, how do you want to see any container is running inside this machine or not, you can use this basic command called as docker ps. Now the building block of the container is building block of the container is image. So image is required, and from where we'll get the image? We'll get the image from different registries, different repositories which are there, such as GitHub is there, Docker Hub is there, Red Hat repositories are there, QA repository is there. There are lots and lots of repositories are there. So from there we can pick up, we can pull the image, and we can create a container out of it. So let me show you how we can pull the image quickly. This is the command is very simple. It is docker pull. I would like to pull the image called as the HTTPD. So now what this command will do, this command will go to the Docker Hub. It will download the image, and it will keep in the base machine. This is a Docker host machine, right? You can see it is downloading the image. So it is downloaded. You can see the image by using command called as Docker images. It is just hardly 138 MB, guys. So ideally, if you want to install the Apache or application or web server on any machine, what you need to do, you need to create a virtual machine. On the top of that, you have to install the HTTP. Then on the top of that, you have installed the application. But this image comes along with your operating system layer as well as Apache layer. You have to just bring your files there. I'm going to show you how we can launch a basic website as well. So before doing that one, let me show you how I can pull one more image so you can understand it. And look at the size, it's very, very less size. So that is a major difference between the virtualization and the containerization. In the virtualization, the size goes in the GBs, while in the containerization, the size goes in the MBs. And it is fastly good, right? So you can see that I can create a container in GP, it just take hardly 2 or 3 seconds. You can see that how I can launch the container. But before that, let me bring down one more image of Nginx. You can see here, I'm pulling one more Nginx image. Now I have two images inside my machine. Look at this. Yes, it is downloaded. Docker images. So I have two images. Let me start the container now. So Docker run -it. IT stands for interactive mode. -d stands for detached mode. So your container will run in the background. It will not run in the foreground. So it will not interrupt any other activities. So run this container in the background. You need to name this container. Let's say that I want to name it as my web container. And I would like to create this container from the image called as Nginx image. So I can put it here, this image name. And look, guys, this has started the container. How to check the container, whether it is running or not? Yes, you can use command docker ps, and this my container is started. All right, so now if I want to start one more container, I can easily start. Let me use command docker run -it -d. So it has interactive terminal. -d stands for detached mode. Let me give the name to the container as web1, and I will use the image called as docker io nginx. So what it will do, it will create a container called as web1, and see here it is running very nicely. And how many seconds it took? It hardly took 3 or 4 seconds to start the container. My OS is there, my software is there, software is inside that. I just need to put my index.html pages inside that. It will start working it. Now to show you one interesting story here, guys, I have one very nice index.html page. I would like to show you the sample of how we can launch one static website in the container, and all of you can access it from the your machine as well if you want to do that. So let me show you that, guys. See, in my host machine, there is a data folder. Inside the data folder, I have kept my images, I have kept my HTML pages. Now I would like to deploy the static website by using these web pages. And look at that, what I'm going to do. So if you want to do it in your organization on let's say virtual machine, what you will do, you will install the operating system on the hardware, or maybe you will create a virtual machine. Inside that, you will install the Apache, and top of that, you will install the your packages. You will just copy the patches in the packages in the right folder, and you will start the website. Now what I'm going to do here, now see here, docker run, I'm launching the website it -d -name my website. This is the name of container. right? What I'm going to do, I'm going to map my volume, which is a data folder here, to the folder which is inside the container, which holds the website data, HTML pages, and in HTTPD, it is user share Apache to htdocs. htdocs. So what is happening actually? This folder will get created automatically inside the container, and this folder will get mapped with my base folder that is called as the /data folder, inside which I have the lot of pages. I have the static website pages as of now, but you can keep your production data as well. And this is something called as a persistent storage in the container, so that even though my container dies or it gets disturbed, still my data will be protected because the data is inside my /data folder. Right, so now I need to expose these ports. Let's say that I want to expose this port to the 8080 of the Docker host, and this is my container port, which is at the right hand side. And I would like to use the image called as HTTPD, which I have pulled already. If that image is not pulled already, it will be pulled and from the Docker Hub. And that's it, guys. This command will launch website, and you will be able to see that. So let me, can you see here, guys? And this container is started. Docker PS, and this is my container. This is my website container started. Now let me go to the browser quickly, and I need to have the IP address of this one. Just give me 1 minute, guys. I will get the IP address quickly for this machine. Let me take the IP address. This is my AWS IP address, public IP address. I'm going to the browser, just putting here IP address and the port number 8080, and you should get here the static web page, HTML pages, website, which I have loaded into the container. You can see that it works, it is coming up. I need to do one more change here to make it running. So the port number I have used is 8080 here, and let me do this one. Okay, it works. It is coming from the guys. I think I have given it the one thing which is something called as, this is a wrong spelling. Let me create one container quickly. The spelling has gone wrong. It is typo mistake. It should be USR, not user,
No
right?
problem. Why you can change it. Like while I'm picking up, there are a lot of questions are coming. So one question is
Yeah,
why we are using this name as USR share. You can use any name of your choice, Vidya. By default, Apache uses this location. That's why we are mapping it to that. But your binaries, your executable will decide. We are picking up just because Apache behind the scene have used this particular thing for that reason. So from image container is created. That's right. Saira Rajiv is saying from image we are starting the container. That's correct. Um, Amog is saying, can you share that document as well? Yes, we are going to send you the email in which we'll give you the instructions. So stay tuned on our emails on less 2-3 days. Over the next 3-4 days, we'll be sending it in an email. So don't worry about it. Um, Pod, what is pod? Pod is a VM? No, pod is not a VM. Pod is a collection of containers running on top of VM or your nodes. We call VM or it could be VM, it could be bare metal physical operating system. On top of that, your pods run and your application run on top of that inside. Over to you.
correct, Ramesh. Yeah, absolutely correct, Atul. And let me just, this is my port number 8082. I have launched it over here, and let me see if I can show the page. And here you go. So this is looking
Oh,
good,
okay. So
right?
you have done our website. Okay, good. Nice. Thanks. So great. Good, John. You managed to get. So this is a website. What we do is, if you see on the here middle, lifetime access to the portal. Let me do a little bit marketing. Sorry here. And on-job support for the 1 year. Live. These are instructor-based training and certification guarantee. As long as you follow our guides and labs and join the sessions and do all the sample exam questions, we guarantee the certification as well. And of course, job support as well. We'll talk about that later. But if you go back, just wanted to show you again that the amount of containers we have run within one machine, you can run. If you see now, suddenly there are 2 containers. How many containers are running? 3 containers or 4 containers are running. If you see
Yeah, it is
Docker
too
PS,
much. Yeah, I
yeah.
have started
So
5
one,
containers.
two, three, four, 5 containers are running, and they're running on different port number. You can play and you can do again. Doesn't need to be the same container, so same image, you can have different type. You can have a database container, you can have an Nginx container, you have a web server container, like that. If you see, so great, brilliant, well done. The
Yeah.
guys, there are a lot of questions are coming about recording. Recording will be available only for the guys who stay till end on that session, please. Great.
I have one.
Oh,
I want to just show one last thing
sure,
for the
sure.
demonstration, so people will enjoy it.
Oh, while Srinivas is asked this question second time as well, so let me answer him. Can you please respond to the question? Each pod contains same microservice or different microservice? Example, I have a project of 5 modules, nothing but 5 microservice. Each microservice individually deployed in a single pod or different pod. So technically, Srinivas, good question. Let me repeat one more time. On the same on one pod, can I deploy 5 microservices, or I should be creating separate 5 pods of each separate microservices? So technically, you can put all the 5 microservices in one pod, but that's not a good design. Ideally, you keep them into separate pods. So 5 microservice, 5 pods, and then you can have multiple copies of those pods as well. That's what you should do. Technically, you can do it on same. Over to you. There's a lot of questions about course as well. I'm going to talk about the course and certification as well, guys. Don't worry. Yeah, it will
Yeah,
be live
just
interactive session. Sorry, over to you. Yeah.
yeah. Just now, I have just for the sake of understanding, guys, I have just launched one database container
Oh,
in hardly 10 seconds of time, and you can see here. Look at this -it, and this is my container, right? So this is the name of the
so this is a
container called as a DB.
MySQL database. This is for the guys who are DBAs. This question again comes again and again on this session. I'm a DBA. Should it I learn? Yes, you have a MySQL database running as a container behind the scene, and we are connected to now this container. If you see, he's now connected to MySQL database container, and he's now into MySQL. Brilliant, wonderful, Ramesh. Okay.
Can you see, guys? And I can create a tables here if you want to create. Okay. So this is the way we can deploy the database container as well. It is very easy. It is very easy, guys. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So right now, guys, okay. So now question is coming, are we in simple pod? Right now, we have not shown you pod. Pod is a concept from Kubernetes. We have just shown you the Docker and Docker container. We have not shown you the Kubernetes. We have not deployed pod. Pod you can do later. Probably I might share something more about. This is what we're going to cover in how do you create pod? How do you deploy them? We have not covered pod here right now. We've just covered the Docker. Now, this is fine now, but the challenge is now managing these containers. How do you manage this? And that's what the beauty of Kubernetes, and this is where Kubernetes will be coming into picture. Now, guys, let me know, let me pick it. But before we go, how did you manage to understand? If you have to rate this session, like so far session, how would you rate? If you have to rate it number 1 to 5, 5 being good, you're happy, and 4 or less is not so happy, or you're not, you think something can be improved. Give me and rate me 1 to 5, please. And I'm going to pick it again, and we'll continue from there. A lot of questions are coming. Wonderful. Venkatesh is saying 5. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Venu is saying 5, 5, 5. Okay, Ranish is saying 1. Maybe it's other way. I'm not sure, but Ranjit, let us know what we could do. But 5. Some questions are coming 4, which is very fast. I totally understand. There's a lot. Awesome. Vijay is saying, great, guys. What is the prerequisite for this course? Oliver, I'm going to explain that as well. Prerequisite is the basic Linux knowledge. If you don't have, don't worry. Come with an open mindset. We are going to teach you everything. So all you need is a very basic Linux. How do you open file VI and delete file? But we have a training for that inside the program, so you don't need to worry about. I'm going to continue from brilliant job. Thank you very much. And a lot of comments are coming about very fast. I totally understand that. So what I would suggest you is watch the replay one more time so that you can understand. We had a lot to cover, and I still have Docker and Kubernetes on AWS, so I'll be covering that as well. But
Yeah.
Ramesh is going to
Yeah.
answer behind the question. Sorry, yeah, go
Just
ahead,
one
please.
thing. Due to the time constraints, guys, we are just giving 1 or 2 examples for you. But in actual sessions, we have at least 50 to 60 examples on each topic, like this one.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. We're going to go very, very deep inside the program. This is just, we have a limited time, as well as we have lot many topics are still coming, and a lot of guys are asking about the program as well. So we'll talk about that as well. So let me
Right.
repeat again. Why learn Kubernetes? And if you can answer all the questions, Ramesh, behind the scene, and if you can
Yeah.
mute as well, please. And
Yeah.
I'll bring you back again when I have more questions for you. Brilliant. So I was saying, why learn Kubernetes? And this is the stack or companies that are using, and thousands of companies. You look at Google, Shopify, Slack, um, um, or Deliveroo, HubSpot, Doordarshan, which is an Indian company. There's a lot of companies who you will see. New York Times, my Netflix. You name a company, there's a high probability they probably will be using Kubernetes behind this scene for you. And this is what has resulted in lots and lots of opportunities on Kubernetes job market, whether it's US, UK, or India, or other part like be it Europe, France, Netherlands, Germany, or if you go Singapore, Malaysia, Southeast Asia, or Middle East, you will Dubai, UAE, you'll come across job again and again. You'll be hearing words like Kubernetes, Docker, cloud native, DevOps, all these things will come here. And if you look at from the opportunities point of view, probably 142,000 salary. And this is, I'm talking about more about on an average salary you'll come across. If you're those who are from India, there are a lot of guys from India, like 2,000 jobs in Bangalore alone, 1,300 here, Mumbai, Hyderabad, and right from beginners. So there's a entry level jobs, 1,800, 4,000, 5,000 from 3 to 6 lakhs, 10 to 15 lakhs, and like that, there are a lot of job opportunities. And as I said, why certification? Because certification will help you in picking your CV. And of course, once with a CV, when you learn all these concepts, when you learn these theory, when you learn these practicals, and that is where which you can set yourself apart from others. So in terms of certification, there's a 25% on architecture, installation and configuration, 15% will be on workload and scheduling, 20% on services and networking, 10% on storage, and 30% on troubleshooting. And troubleshooting is a big weightage. We have an extensive lab on how do you troubleshoot all the different part of Kubernetes as well. From an exam basics point of view, it's a hands-on exam where they test you on terms of actually practically by doing with the labs. And that's why we also have hands-on labs plus sample questions inside the program. It's a 2 hours program, or sorry, 2 hours test. You need to score 66%. You have one free retake, which means you can come back again if you fail, which should not happen if you follow what we ask you to do, which is doing all the labs and also the theory part, practical part, sample questions. If you go through them, we have 5 sample questions of 17 questions each. Should be able to do it well as long as you follow the procedure. There are questions come from 17 or 18 questions. You need to score 66% within 2 hours. Now, if you look at learning path, this is what we recommend you, a 12-week learning path for this. Some guys do it quicker, some guys do it take a slightly longer. It's weekly live interactive session. You go start with microservices and containers. Today I've given you very high level glimpse, but we go deep into these topics. How do you install the Docker, Ubuntu? There are other things as well which we have not explained here because of the time, prerequisite, etc. How do you go deep into manage different types of containers, images, networking, storage, architecture, security, high availability, horizontal pod auto scaling, persistent storage on Kubernetes, health checks, role-based access control, something called as config map, secrets. People were asking about multi-containers pattern. In what scenario you will use which kind of containers. All those things you'll be covering. Networking, deployment, application stack, deploying on Kubernetes on what is application stack, high availability, scalability. And the most important part is once you have understood this, then do the project work and then practice. We give 2 practice inside the program or in the session, but we have 5 in total practice for your certification exam. And then we help you with CV preparation and then project work. And that is where we recommend you 12 weeks, but some guys do it quicker, some guys take longer. We go with what is right for you, and whatever long you take, as long as you clear 2 things, which is certification and job, 2 things. These are the extensive hands-on lab, 11 labs on Docker, and then remaining around 23, 24 labs on Kubernetes. And we are adding more and more as people are asking, people are demanding for job. For certification point of view, they are more than enough. So sometimes there's a requirement, say that run my pod on this particular machine, or never run pod on that particular machine, or run these 2 pods always together, or never run these 2 pods together. And these are something called as pod scheduling, which you see here. Now, as I said, there'll be a troubleshooting, debugging. So there'll be how do you apply a guestbook application, PHP application? How do you collect log with ELK stack? How do you backup and restore at CD? How do you implement and debug? How do you troubleshoot the network failure? How do you troubleshoot application level of failure? How do you investigate the worker node failure and control plane issues? All these are debugging and troubleshooting because it's 30% on exam topics and very extensive for debugging. Now, once that is done, once you have learned all this, you prepare CV and job opportunities. There are plenty, as I said, I mentioned it earlier as well. But in order to get a job, you need to prepare a CV. And CV also focus on what your strengths are and what is each employer is asking. And one common mistake I've seen with guys who send the CV but never here is the CV is very outdated or one generic CV for all the jobs. Whereas what you should be doing is you should be changing your CV, not faking it, but highlighting things that are important as per the job description. So for each job description, we recommend to have the CV highlighting on first page what things you have done as per the job description. And that is the mantra of successfully getting a call. And if you follow what I've mentioned, if you've learned something which we have mentioned, you'll definitely get a job. And that's the sure mantra of success. That's how we have hundreds and hundreds of guys who have successfully got the success and not only cleared the certification, but also got a job as well. So that's all inside the program for you. Now, the question is, how do I learn all this quickly and effectively? And this is what I'm going to propose or explain or take you to the next level. If whatever you've learned, you want to go on that in slowly, in a step-by-step procedure with live interactive sessions. So today you are asking, today you're seeing the question, today you're discussing, but you only have questions via the chat window. In the real life, because you have a very big audience, in real life we'll be having a smaller group, and there you will be asking question by unmuting yourself. You'll be all will be unmuted. You will be able to see each other. You'll be able to see each other's question. You will have interaction with Ramesh and myself. You'll be asking questions. So it's a comprehensive program which is 17 modules, 70 plus lessons. It's both self-study as well as, so we have done the well-done videos. We also have pre-recorded videos. Also, we have live interactive session on a weekly basis. We jump on a call like that, but it's a much smaller group, and where and then we can ask questions. There'll be a WhatsApp group for discussions, questions, and sessions. So we'll go with concept, architecture, storage, networking, high availability, clustering, scheduling, administration, Docker Compose, security, troubleshooting, all those. And the most important part is the 30 or 34 hands-on labs plus exam preparation. And this is our journey begins after we clear your certification, and that is where with 1 year on job support. And so when you're working for a customer, you need any help, we provide you 1 year on job support. So why we are different? There are a lot of training companies are available, but why we are different and what makes us so unique, why we have become so famous in last 3-4 years so quickly, is because we provide free on job support. And this is important, that when you are working, once you will definitely learn, you will get certified, but when you come to the real world, that's when your journey begins. And that is where our program help you in providing 1 year on job support. Now, I'll just take a sip of water and then come back onto an answer or cover all these things. What's unique in our training? So with that, we also provide unlimited retake for the next 1 year. And what we have noticed is that people come and first time they learn around 80% or 90%. And then when they repeat the program second time, they pick up a lot of things which they have never thought, or when they were doing the labs or when they heard others, they come back. And for that reason, we provide unlimited retake over the next 1 year for live interactive. You can come back again and again to the program. There'll be weekly live interactive sessions. There's already pre-recorded sessions or well-done videos from experts. You can go through them. And when you come to the class, you already know what to expect. And then you interact and do more than what's already covered in the on the pre-recorded videos. You also have videos, activity guide that you can do at your own pace as well. And then WhatsApp and ticketing. This is very, very important. Now, what we have learned is that we learn in the group. And so all those who are part of the program member, paid program, for that particular batch, they are in that WhatsApp group. And then once they complete that WhatsApp group, that particular session or that particular batch, then we move all of them into an alumni group where they can see and hear others as well, the older students as well. So this WhatsApp group comes very handy, that when we have weekly session during the week or other times when we are not doing live interactive session, that time they can ask questions. And this also helps that, let's suppose I'm inside the program and I complete a lab, it will inspire others as well to do those labs. So this group really helps a lot inside a WhatsApp group. We also have a ticketing system where if some issue takes longer to troubleshoot, we probably have a ticketing system so we can track progress on your issue. There'll be post-session recording of all the previous batches available for you for lifetime. The course is available for you for lifelong. Everything will be available. Previous batches, a recording, as well as the future live interactive sessions will be available. There'll be hands-on labs, step-by-step activity guide, as I said, 34 plus. And the training is focused on two things, job and certification. So we'll help you with getting certified. We also help you in getting a job as well, and how you can get hold of another bonus, which I'll tell you in a minute. So this is how the program looks like inside. That's a certified or Docker and certified Kubernetes administrator CK program. This is how the well done videos look like. There are 9 modules inside that. And module 1, these are videos of short, anything from 5 minute to 15-20 minutes clips, where you can go through and understand what is the difference between, for example, I've given you probably 3 minutes of virtual machine and containers, but you go an 11-minute or 12-minute of virtual machine versus containers. How do you install? How do you create these machines? And how will you practice? We are going to give you a step-by-step guide on creating an account, free account on Azure Cloud, and you can practice on that Azure Cloud account. You'll be doing all those things like load balancers, shared mount points, shared storage, all those things you'll be doing inside this program. So there'll be videos, there'll be activity guide, and then there's a mock exam questions, as I said. So we have a lot of mock exam questions. Now, someone is asking what is the prerequisite. So there is a basic Linux commands. We also have the videos for that as well. So you don't need to worry. Everything that is required for you to do this certification and get a job, everything is covered inside the program. These are some of the sample questions. We also prepare you what you can do inside the exam, what you should not do, how you prepare. We have sessions as well for preparing for the certification exams as well. So you'll be covering these two. Now, schedule for live interactive sessions, we run it every Saturday and Sunday. It will be on winter timings at 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. in PST, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. CST, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. CST, 2 to 6 p.m. GMT, and 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. IST on winter times. Same in summertime, it's like standard summer time. It's 7 to 11 PST in the morning hours, 9 to 1 or 10 to 2 EST, and US and India, sorry, GMT is same, and India is same, 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. IST. This is the schedule for this. Now, with that, you get 1 year on-job support. It's a very big and it takes a lot of effort. That's why my team have grown from what used to be like, we used to be a couple of years back, just 21 guys. Now we have around 70 guys to support you. It takes a big effort. But what we have done, what we have learned is that when we give you on-job support, we learn a lot inside the program, or we learn a lot from what's going on in the market, and we feed it back inside the program. So you'll be learning from others as well. So 1 year free on-job support. You also get free unlimited retake. You have weekly live interactive session, lifetime access to the videos portal, or availability on videos and activity guide. You will have lifetime access to that. You'll be access to private 24/7 WhatsApp group where you can ask questions. Here, someone is asking and saying, so far newly created 2 VMs and I don't need to do pull YAML from GitHub. So like that, if someone have any problems, here Bravo is doing, Bravo, other team members can also help. Other students can also help. So Bronson helped for resolving the issue here, just to give you a glimpse of that. Now, this is our WhatsApp support look like, or the group look like, where someone was helping our team members. Someone was saying, hey, someone Sentinel has created a VM, and then another one is here. Someone is asking, just checking with the folks in the group if we can solve it. Oh, so another one here, Pushkar was hitting problem or issue, and he was trying to help or get help from others before he can raise a ticket. And so this is a close-knit community where people help each other, and Ramesh and I will also be helping you, and my team will be there to help you. So this is how WhatsApp support look like. We use Zendesk for ticketing system. So if we can't resolve your ticket quickly, we recommend you to raise a ticket. That will give you the ticket number, so we can track progress on your ticket, and you can make us accountable for that. Now, we have 125,000 plus members, free members, out of which 5,500, sorry, 5,500 are paid members. So you won't be the first one to come into the program, and you definitely won't be the last one to come into the program. There are 5,500 members who have successfully trained and got certified and got a job in different training programs. So it's a quite big community where we help you. Each one of you have successfully trained 5,500 members. Now, this is some of the guys old students have to say about. Here's an example of Venu Gopal. Wonderful, I'm getting more than what I am expected. You're making me addicted to K21. This is when people need a help on here. Another one is, I got an, 1 second. Another one is here, is saying, once a lot, if appreciation to all of you and team doing. Most important thing is prompt reaction to our problems. God, it's 2 a.m. in the morning, and I'm having answers to my worries. And this is where it will come handy. Like the groups like this, as I said, community, you can get immediate help. You don't need to wait for the weekend to come for live interactive session. This is where the feedback after every session, like the one which we asked, this is the feedback from our students inside the program. These are the paid members: Ronald, Soma, Marjit, Sheikh, Mustafa, Pushkar, 555 without a doubt, 5 plus, 6 plus. Because today we are going a little bit fast because we had a lot to cover, but inside the program, we have extensive program. We give as much time as you need to learn this program. So this is what the feedback from students. Now, it's just not that, it's about the job as well. Here's a Yunus. I attended interview from 3 different companies. The first company interview was a flop. Second and third company interview went very well. I'm expecting an offer letter soon for both the companies by end of this week. So these are the kind of results which we can provide, and we're very proud to say, and we feel that's what we are doing this to change lives, of course. Another one, nobody can fault the material or facilities provided by your team. Keep it up. I'm absolutely sure that no other training academy provides such a package, which is totally worth it. So these are some of the guys. Again, another one, as I said, we keep on and on. I'll keep going on and on. Here's another one, Ronak. Yes, 100% recommended. I'll be more than happy as well. So like that, what students achieved. As I said, I can go on and on and on and on for this, but I want to make sure that I want to give you that confidence that what you're doing, what you are going to interact or invest is actually worth, and you will not be the first one. Here, these are guys, Jaya, Vamsi, Sachin, Bronson, they've all cleared their certification. I can keep, as I said, I can keep on, and these are the guys who have shared their successfully certifications. Again, I don't want to bore you with these things. You can check it out by going to k21academy.com/testimonials. You will have various courses, including Kubernetes. Now, the most important thing is, what is the value of the course? And how much does this course cost? This is a question coming from a lot of you guys. So I looked into the market, and we looked at, and the Linux Foundation, this is the organization behind these certifications. So we saw their exam certificate, or their live interactive sessions or instructor-led courses, and each course, Kubernetes for developers, Kubernetes CK, this is a CK which we are explaining right now, Certified Kubernetes Administrator, $3,200 or $3,250. Another one, Kubernetes Security, $3,250. Kubernetes Application Developer, $3,250. So we saw that, we realized that our audience it's pretty expensive. Personally, to me as well, yes, they provide, it's from Cloud Native Computing Foundation, but 3,200 is a little bit higher side on me. But that's what I felt. So then we started looking at what are the other training providers in the market, and we saw this 2,600 or 2,000 in GBP, which is equivalent to 1.2, which is like again 2,500, and this just 3 days course. There's no live WhatsApp support, and after 3 days you're on your own, and it's only advanced Kubernetes. It doesn't cover Docker. It doesn't cover a lot of other things which I'm going to come again. So it's in the range of $2,500. So then we looked at and say, people say it's India is cheap. So let's look at India, what people are in India are charging. And we saw 1 lakh, which is equivalent to around $1,500, $1,600. $1,600 we could find was the cheapest one. And that too, just 5 days. Now, if you see now, just it doesn't talk about exam, and it doesn't provide any support, and also definitely not lifetime access, and 1 year live interactive sessions come back again and again. So minimum we found was $1,500, $1,600. And what I was thinking is that what should be the right way? It's a competitive price, but maintaining the quality. Quality is very, very important for us. So with us, we thought invest what we are investing, and we thought we probably $997 will be the right price for certified Kubernetes administrator. With that, you'll get Docker, you will get Kubernetes, and you get CKA all. And with 1 year on-job support, with exam preparation, with lifetime access, with WhatsApp group support, and then, as I said, extensive hands-on lab, pre-recorded videos. So when you come to the class, you can and weekly live interactive sessions. So when you come to the live interactive session, you know what to expect. And when we started this pricing, then COVID hit, and a lot of our students started saying, hey, they can't afford this price. It's a little bit higher. What we can do to best. So for limited time, as I said, we have 50 seats, first come, first service basis, and we have 30% off because of COVID, and not everyone can afford, and it will be as long as these 50 seats are there. So it will be $697 for everything which I've mentioned about Docker and certified Kubernetes administrator CK. If you're interested, you can go to K21Academy.com/Kubernetes03. So it's Kubernetes one word, Kubernetes 03. So you go to this URL, and you can pay one single payment of $697. The coupon code is CK300. It should already be applied. I've just before the class, we've enabled this coupon code. It should already be there for you. So if you go, you'll be seeing price is $697. So now we have two payment plan. If you go to this URL, K21Academy.com/Kubernetes 03, not everyone can afford $697 in one go. I have a couple of guys or audience from Asia and India. If you can afford, my suggestion to you would be go for one single payment of $697. If you can't, if you don't have one single payment of $697 available, you can break it down to 6 monthly payment of $149. Otherwise, $199. Because of the discount, because of COVID, we are doing it 6 monthly payment of $149. So both are same. It's just except left hand side is slightly more expensive because you're spreading your money over the 6 months, $149 for 6 months. Or here you're doing one single payment of $697. So you go to this page, K21Academy.com/Kubernetes 03, scroll down somewhere in the middle, you'll be having a page of whatever you pick, one single payment of $697 or 6 monthly payments of $149. Click on that button. And when you click on the button, you'll go into the next page. You'll be entering your first name, enter your last name, enter your email address, your phone number. Coupon code should already be applied for you. Once you enter that, you will have two pages, one page only, but you have an option. Either you can pay from MasterCard or Visa card, either debit or credit, or you can also pay from PayPal. Enter your card details, and then you'll be having, if you're doing one single payment, it will be $997 discounted 300. You'll be paying $697. And then you say, click on agree to terms and conditions and click on register now. If you're doing $149 monthly, you'll be doing then 5 additional payments. So $149 now, after 30 days, automatically $149 and $149 like that, 5 payments. And then you click on I agree to terms and conditions and click on register now. So the URL is K21Academy.com/Kubernetes 03. Scroll down, go to these pages and select one, enter your name details, enter your Visa or credit or debit card, or select PayPal, and then enter your credit card details. Now, what we have noticed is this Kubernetes in November 2020, Kubernetes or CNCF introduced one more certification, which is security. How do you secure that? So earlier, security used to be part of Kubernetes administrator. In November 2020, they changed or introduced a new certification, which is certified Kubernetes security. We also have that program, extensive program. We have charge of $997 that program, CK, certified Kubernetes security. I'll tell you about that in a minute. So if you are interested on CKA, you can pay just 300 and you can say, yes, I want CKS as well. So otherwise, or you don't want CKS, you simply say, no, thanks, I'll pay $997 later. If you want CKS later, you can pick that later. If you want within just $300, you simply click on yes, say I want to CKS as well, and you can get CKS as well. Similarly, if you're doing installment payment, you can add 3 more installments. So you'll be doing whatever initial 6 payments and 3 additional payments after that. So you'll be doing, or otherwise you pay $997 later. If you don't want that CKS, you can simply click on say no thanks, I'll pay later, and then you don't pay for CKS, you only pay for CKA, Certified Kubernetes Administrator. Now, this is the CKS program, which I'm telling you, if you're interested, this is a comprehensive 7-week program where we go with Kubernetes architecture you've already covered, but we go on cluster setup where we go for hardware or underlying nodes security within your Kubernetes setup. So like if you're running on cloud, within AWS cloud or Azure cloud or Google cloud, the security of that cloud, hardening of your Kubernetes cluster, microservice vulnerabilities, what are the issues you can find out in microservices or images vulnerability, supply chain, security on monitoring, logging, runtime security, and system hardening. All this with sample certifications and then another certifications CKS. That is if you want this CKS as well. If you don't want, that's totally ignore that here. Now these are the separate, apart from 33 labs, these are 30 labs just for CKS, Certified Kubernetes Security. And those who want, I said to you, 200,000 plus dollar salary, and this is where security guys earn a lot of money. So you can do that. These are the hands-on lab with security. So what we go is, how do you protect or do the service accounts and exercise the cautions in using service accounts? What is role-based access control, role binding, cluster role, other things? How do you do the CIS Kubernetes benchmarking? How do you secure your Kubernetes cluster? How do you access and secure node metadata? How do you deploy GUI, which is graphical user interface like Kubernetes dashboard? There's something called as encryption and security. All these things are related to security, related to mutual TLS, transport layer security. How do you create users groups, privileged containers, pod security, etc. And like that, there are 30 labs for security. So once you register for that program, depending on whether you picked up CK or CKS not, you will get an email within 15 minutes with your registration details. So you will have our reach out. If you need any help, you can contact us on this email ID, and you will get immediate access to WhatsApp group. You get immediate access to your login ID and the portal. How do you log in? And we'll tell you about how does portal login. And you will, inside the portal, you will have CK program, and left hand side is one where you will have all the videos, well done videos, labs, everything available for you. And this is where you will have live session recording of the previous batches and any future batches. So these are the 2 courses you will see across here. If you bought security as well, CKS, same thing, you will have 2 more for CKS, where you have security and then live session for security recording. Now this is a recording, or this is the portal for CKS. For those who have also bought CKS, we have extensive hands-on lab and videos and activity guide for CKS. So there are total 7 modules as per the CNCF on and the extensive hands-on lab for this. And then similar to the way we saw explained you CK, you have the exam questions. There are currently 2 set of exam questions on CKS. As more and more comes, we'll be adding more CKS practical exams for CKS as well. Now, one thing is, everything what you see or hear comes with 100% money back guarantee for 60 days. And I know that internet, sometimes people think there are scammy people as well, and sometimes who might say something but doesn't believe in the product. We are totally different. That's why we have 60 days money back guarantee. I want each one of you to hear out very clearly this money back guarantee, because there is a commitment from your side as well. And commitment is, as long as you do the labs, because we know that you will get a result if you do activity guide. So if you think that it was not valuable, if you think that it was not good, if you think that, oh, it was not worth that much money, oh, you couldn't get a job, you were not you couldn't clear the certification, you think it's not worth anything, you think, all you need to do is send us a screenshot of you complete all the activity guide. Because I'm so confident about quality, I'm so confident about result, I'm so confident this program works, because it has worked with not 1, 2, 3, but hundreds of guys before you. So it's definitely going to work, as long as you do the labs, you will get the results. So you have 60 days. If you think it was not worth, all you need to do is send us a screenshot of all activity guide. We'll refund you immediately within 72 hours. All we are expecting is activity guide. I hope this is fair to give. As I said, I'm confident about the product. I'm confident about the service. So commitment. If you're coming here just for or saying, let me see if it works or not, you have to do the work. Without doing work, you will not get a result. And hence, we have 100% money back guarantee. It's clearly written on a refund policy as well. K21Academy.com/refund policy. I want to reiterate one more time because I think sometimes people come and say, oh, after 60 days without doing work, I'll get a result. No, I'll repeat one more time. Forget about attending the session only. Even attending the session, forget about this. That's why I've highlighted, as long as you do the activity guide and send us all the labs, we'll refund you if you don't feel it's valuable. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that will give you enough confidence about the quality and content. Now with that, I'm also going to, I mentioned that you can get hold of a free gift. I'm going to talk about that free gift for limited time in a minute. Now, big congratulations for the guys who have already registered and paid for the program. Some guys are saying they've registered for a CKA, but then also want to do the CKS. And if for some reason, if you miss that, don't worry. Just drop an email to contact@k21academy.com or post your email address and phone number. Email address, I think I already have. Just put your phone number with the country code, and you need to mention that I need help with CKS registration. We can help you with that if you've registered already. Big congratulations if you're already registered. What is the unique selling point of this course, Rohit? I think I've explained that by now. That, as I said, you have unlimited retake, you have live session recording, you have the most important part is, I think, 1 year on-job support, plus the well-done videos, live interactive sessions. So when you come to the class, you know what to expect. Brilliant. So I was talking about how you can get hold of this free gift for action takers. This is for action takers. For those who have already registered, you will get that gift. No need to worry about. You will get it for you. So what is that free gift? Is that under Kubernetes, like as I said earlier, all the cloud companies have picked up Kubernetes implementation, whether it's AWS, Azure, Google, you name a company, they picked up this. And what we have noticed is that with Kubernetes, we see a lot of jobs around AWS or implementation of Kubernetes on AWS, which is cloud, Amazon Web Services, cloud from Amazon, or AWS, cloud from Amazon, biggest cloud, biggest number of implementation, the most mature cloud in world. And how do you implement Kubernetes on AWS? That's what we have seen, a lot of job opportunities. So Kubernetes deployment on. So Kubernetes on AWS has 3 implementations. So AWS, what they picked up is, initially when containers were there and Kubernetes were not long, like initially what AWS did is, AWS did their own container management, ECS, which is Elastic Container Service. AWS implementation of Kubernetes or Docker containers on AWS Cloud ECS, which is ECS. They picked up Docker or other containers. They never share what is the container, but earlier they were definitely Docker, but they might change it anytime. So they have their own implementation of containers, implemented and managed ECS. But then what companies started realizing is they don't want any vendor locking. They don't want to be tied to AWS. So AWS started Kubernetes. They picked up the same Kubernetes binaries, implemented with AWS services like networking, load balancer of AWS, storage of AWS, networking of AWS, and they built something called as Elastic Kubernetes Service, which is Kubernetes implementation on AWS Cloud, which is EKS. And then they came up with other things like Fargate, which is serverless implementation of ECS and EKS, which means no machine management, no node management, no operating system management. You just manage your pods. So Fargate is a serverless implementation of ECS and EKS. So these are the 3. We are going to give you a bonus of ECS, EKS, and Fargate. These 3 trainings we are going to give you additionally. So what happens is that this is container native, but proprietary to AWS. You have a vendor locking here. This is easy to move your on-premise Kubernetes implementation on AWS, or you can go from one cloud to another cloud, but as long as it's Kubernetes. And this is for workload, serverless workload, good if you run like for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 1 hour, 2 hours, and then you shut down your pods. or applications on containers. So this is serverless on demand. And if you look at this architecture, this is the my Kubernetes architecture. So you have, I said earlier, master node. This is my master node, and this is my worker node here in Kubernetes. So what I have, my master node and worker node. Worker node, this is machine 1, machine 2, machine 3. And in these machines, I'm running my container runtime. It could be Docker, it could be CRIO, it could be any other. And then these machines need storage. They take it from cloud. These machines need networking. They take it from cloud. These machines need maybe connections, connectivity, load balancers. They take it from cloud. So this is Kubernetes. You can standalone Kubernetes. Something similar you can do it in AWS cloud as well. So in AWS, there is a network called VPC, which is nothing but your network. And then you can create your machines. So here I'm doing 3 machines, for example, or maybe 10 machines, 15 machines. These are these worker nodes or these nodes. And then I need a master node, and master node is on cloud managed by AWS. So you will have access to the Kubernetes cluster, but from AWS console or from command line, which is EKS EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service. So control plane, it's dedicated to you managing my worker node. So I have a network for or VPC or virtual private cloud network. I have a load balancers. I have a load balancers. This is a load balancer for my administrators. This is a load balancer for my application or clients or users. And on this worker node, I'm running my pods, and this is networking. So this is EKS implementation on Azure. So how do? You create something called as master node. You then create worker node, and on that worker node, you connect your application through EKS. There is a utility called EKS CTL, Elastic Kubernetes Service Control, or you can connect from GUI as well, graphical user interface, and then run your Kubernetes on these worker nodes as a pod. So this is what we are going to give you a bonus class worth 497, as I said at the start, where you'll be learning how to register for AWS Cloud. If you know already, you're good. If you're not, we're going to teach you how to register for AWS Cloud on that free account. How do you create configure your registries? So this is registry. This is Elastic Container Service, ECS, which is nothing but container on AWS Cloud. Then how do you deploy a Kubernetes cluster? How do you launch your worker node? How do you deploy application on the EKS cluster using command line or using graphical user interface? Then how do you deploy the advanced networking or ingress controller, which is nothing but a software-based load balancer? AWS also has an application load balancer, so we'll deploy also application load balancer for forwarding requests to the backend application servers. Also, how do you provision persistent volumes, which is nothing but storage? So in AWS, there is something called as Elastic Block Storage, EBS. So how do you do that? You can also use EFS, Elastic File Storage. You can use that as well in your EFS and EBS, both on. And then Fargate, which is nothing but serverless version. So how do you deploy the Fargate application? And then, cluster. And then how do you deploy applications on that Fargate cluster? How do you also configure load balancer, which is application load balancer, which is layer 7 load balancer on AWS Cloud as an ingress controller? And how do you deploy on applications of Fargate? So this is, we have this program separately, 497. I don't want you to pay anything on this. You can buy this. You are going to get this absolutely free when you register with this program on absolutely free with this program on Kubernetes. You can get it by going to K21Academy.com / sorry, it's not Kubernetes sec, it's Kubernetes 03. So it will be Kubernetes 03. And so this is all about the things that you're going to do in AWS. You'll be doing AWS Cloud Account, Ubuntu, install Docker, ECR, EKS, all those things which I mentioned to you. And this is how the portal look like. So it's all ready for you. Don't need to wait for the live sessions. I will be covering that, but you can learn immediately. So all these videos, different videos. How do you push image to the ECR? So earlier we saw in the demo when Ramesh covered, he covered with ECR, Elastic Container. Sorry, he did it with Docker Hub, which is another registry. You can do it with ECR, which is Elastic Container Registry, which is registry to store images on AWS Cloud. Similarly, how do you deploy all these labs or lessons or videos? And there'll be step-by-step hands-on labs. How do you install, configure AWS CLI, which is a command line interface on AWS on your machines? How do you install kubectl or kubectl or ekctl? Kubectl or kubectl is a Kubernetes command line. ekctl is a Elastic Kubernetes service. So if you're interested, you go to Kubernetes 03, you pay either one single payment of 697 or 6 monthly payment of 149. You'll be getting this. While if you pay this inside the class, you'll be getting AWS Kubernetes on AWS free. And if you want, you can do or add CKS as well in just $300, or you pay later 997. So if you want CKS, you select yes, I want. If you don't want, just click on the bottom one, say no thanks, I'll pay 997 later. Similarly, if you're doing an installment payment, you'll be paying over the 6 months and additional 3 payments of $149 each. Otherwise, you say I want CKS too. And if you don't want CKS, you can do no thanks, I'll pay 997 later. Now, I'm going to pick up a lot of questions are coming. So let me pick, if my team will be there to help you if there is any questions. Nagarjun saying, can we pay in pounds? Yes, you can pay Nagarjun in pounds, but we'll be deducting it from dollars because our payment system is dollars. If you're paying in pounds, you can claim the VAT. If you're paying for VAT, Nagarjun, you can claim the VAT. Ask my team about VAT receipt, and within next 72 hours, my team will share the VAT receipt. You can do it. VAT. Now, any deadline to complete course? No, Nagarjun. There's no deadline. You take your own time to complete. Our recommendation is to complete 12 weeks, but I know that everyone is busy. So everyone is busy and take your own time. So don't worry about it. You take your own time. We recommend, and that's why we have unlimited 1 year. If you think for some reason, oh, that's a good question as well. So people asking me, can I do it? Can I do later? I'm busy right now. Yes, absolutely. You can start your 1 year a little bit later as well. So not a problem as well. So a lot of guys think that it's free, it's expensive, and I'm going to come to that point in a minute. But if you think that it's expensive, I'm going to cover that. Azure Kubernetes service told in this program, Raj Shekhar is saying, are you going to cover Azure Kubernetes? Yes, it's going to come that as well. But we might increase the price by the time. We are going to cover Azure Kubernetes. We are going to cover AWS is free if you register now, but later you might be paying 997. Oh, sorry, 497. Similarly for Azure, if those anything else that you think will help, we are going to tell you about that as well. So I'm going to cover that as well. So you're going to do we are going to get access to other Kubernetes courses if we take? So no, I'm going to cover that as well. Yes. So any no. So you'll be, if you take CKA, you'll be getting certified Kubernetes administrator. If you want CKS, you to buy CKS. Now inside the program, you'll be getting it in $300. But EKS, you'll be doing the EKS as well. Okay. Okay. Let me pick up all the questions as well now. If you think it's expensive, just give me 1 minute. I'll take a sip of water and then I'll cover that. Okay, so those who think that it's expensive, if you go to a live interactive session and we do, as I said, I'm not doubting Linux Foundation is good, but then we are much better than I can confidently and proudly say, because of the features that we do. We provide on-job support. We help you with the CV preparation. We help you with 1 year on-job support. We have WhatsApp group. My team is there to support you. Ramesh is there. I'll be there. I can bring other experts as well as and when required. And if you go to, and I know it takes a lot of effort, but the reason why we have managed to do it is we do it so nicely. And we have done it so many times that we have reduced the price of, we can afford 697 now without compromising the quality. If you go into the market, this is the price you'll be paying 3,250. Or if you go to even outside CNCF, 2,500 or close to 3,000. If you look at it, just 3 days program, and they don't even cover support. They don't give you, after 3 days, you're gone, you're on your own. And the amount, another thing which I want to say is amount of money you're going to make. And I think if you see now, this is for US guys, and this is for India, 75 to 1,100 lakhs, which is 1 CR, which is how much is if I convert it into, it's like probably 100,000, or no, sorry, 150,000 in India terms, $150,000 in India. There are 11 jobs. 100 up to 70,000 dollars in India, which is huge amount, 820 jobs. So there's a lot of jobs available and very highly paid jobs as well. So think of how much money you're going to make by doing it, or how much money you're going to lose by not doing it. Imagine you delay it by maybe 3 months. How much money you could have made in those 3 months? And that's what I want to take away from today's class. This is my story, and I'm going to tell you a lot of guys who have come again have heard it number of times. If you've heard it and have not taken any action, I think it's time to hear it again. And I'll try to keep it short. Is this is my last year in 2020. I left my complete corporate job just to focus and empower others on what I've achieved. And I was earning $40,000 or in excess of $40,000 per month. And a lot of guys come and say, hey, is it 1 0 extra? No, it's 40,000 per month. It's not 4,000, it's 40,000. And I'm not saying I'm the only one who have achieved this. I know a lot of guys who are like me who are doing it. But that's not how I started. In fact, my first 4 years were very tough. I started in India with $100 per month, or less than $100. 8,000 rupees in India was my salary. And first 4 years were tough till, and back in 2004, I moved to UK. I came from a company called Satyam, which is no more. It's been acquired by, I think, another company called HCL or maybe something like that. And I came to work for Imperial College in London. This is one of the biggest, the renowned university or college, with a lot of research work in Imperial College, and was working at the time as or Apps GBA, which is an Oracle e-business suite. And I saw a job in UK. There is a contracting market. I was working as a permanent employee, £2,400 a month, and I suddenly saw a job of £450 a day in contracting. £450 a day. I thought £450 a day, 24 days in a month, because you don't get paid for Saturday, Sunday. You only get paid for weekday working. So around 24 days or 22, 23 days on an average in a month, multiplied by 450, around 10,000 or more than 10,000 pounds. So that means more than 4 times of my salary. So I thought I should apply for this job, but it was identity and access management. I was just doing a little bit, but not to a level which I can feel confident. So I looked into the job, into the training program from Oracle. It was in Reading, which is not very far from London, which is hardly 40 miles from my place where I live. So I looked into the training program, and that was costing me £3,000 for 5 days training. So I thought I'll need to take a 5 days leave, plus £3,000 is more than my month's salary. It's expensive. Nah, and I come from India, and we think that, oh, I can learn on my own. And a lot of guys from India will understand. At the time, it was really a lot of money to me, £3,000 for 5 days training. I've never done anything like that. So I thought I can learn on my own. And it was, I think, March or something around that month in 2005. So March, and then April, May, June, I thought I'll do it on my own. I failed one interview, another interview. I was learning weekends, probably 4-5 hours weekends, every day, 2-3 hours every day. 1 month passed, July, August, September, October. Came October. My wife was so fed up and said, enough is enough. I just got married in that year. Wife has said, oh, it's good, but why don't you can spend maybe another 1 year by learning on your own. Yes, 3,000 is a lot of money, but let's try out. In worst case, you will lose a month's salary. Let's see what happens. With heavy heart, and I was still skeptical, I attended the training in Reading, £3,000 by paying £3,000 for my own pocket, for my own money. And that's the time my whole thinking changed. Within probably, I think, 2 weeks or so, I got a job in October end or October. I think it was first week or second week of October. I don't remember vaguely, but I remember November, October, and last week or so, I got a job contract job, and there's no looking back since then. And so in 2006, next year, I was reflecting back and said, oh, what I did or what I could have done. And then a light bulb came in, I think, January or February 2006, next year, that how stupid I was in that year. In order to save £3,000, I lost £72,000. How? That I would have earned 10,000 easily pound every month. So 10,000 every month multiplied by 8 months, £80,000. And of course, I might have earned from my permanent salary, reduce that around £72,000 or £70,000. So in order to save 3,000 pounds, I lost 72,000 pounds. And that was a kicker for me in 2006. And the minute I realized it, I thought that was a game changer. Since then, I spent a lot of money. I paid to Oracle. I did a training on Fusion middleware at that time, Oracle Fusion middleware, integration with identity management. I did e-business suite integration with identity management. I started learning. I was the first among the first few ones in UK to, and Oracle came late in the cloud world, learned cloud and paid a lot of money to Oracle product management team in US for this, because I knew that I could recover that cost. And every time I was learning something new, I was earning more and I was adding more and more my contracting rates. And then I started learning Azure, AWS cloud, and then Kubernetes. And once I hit Kubernetes, I realized there's a game changer. The minute I realized the opportunities Kubernetes can do, I think it's time to call and focus on empowering others what I've achieved. And that was a day I realized, hey, I think so I still my last contract was 1,200 pounds a day. And again, this is not to brag or show off. This is to show you what's possible. It's achievable. And I'm not saying I'm the only one who's achieving. There are a lot of guys like me who I know have doing it in US or UK or other countries as well. In fact, I showed you the salary, which is equivalent to 100 lakhs or more than 100 lakhs in India. This is Kubernetes jobs. This is from Naukri. So I'm not saying I'm the only one who's doing it. I'm saying this is the possibility. And I could never have believed in my, trust me, until 2005, I could have never imagined what that it's possible. I never imagined. But two things if you have to take it away from today is, if you think it is expensive, think how much money you are going to lose by not doing it over the next 1 year, or how much more money you can make by doing it. That's the one thing I want to take it away. And that's what is Pablo. I think he came a couple of years back, had a strong reservation about price. He's young, is based in India regarding the price, but took a leap of faith and found the course was worth way more than being charged. Looking back, I wonder why I didn't take this decision. I could have learned and earned much quicker. Since then, I've enrolled in 4 courses. And this is another reason for making price competitive. We know that after 2 years or 3 years, something more things will come, and you want to, once you have learned this, once you've recovered your $697, you can come back. You definitely want to, and you've recovered that cost, and then new opportunities come, you want to upgrade yourself. You'll come to that point, and that's why we have reduced the cost, because we know that if you make it competitive, and of course quality, without compromising on quality, quality is very important for me. So this is Pablo, and it's not only this. And again, as I said, program works. These are the guys or success stories. And this is what I want to take you, the story of Raj Lakshmi. Now, another story I get is I have a gap, or I've never worked on this. Will I be able to get a job? So Raj Lakshmi, she had a gap. She moved to US, she had a baby, and 2 years break. And then she came to me and exactly like this in one of the sessions. And I've told her that as long as you do what I'm asking you to do, as long as you do the labs, no problem. You will definitely get results. So, but you need to do the work. And this is what her saying is, hope you remember I had a break in my career. I mean, in-person interviews, I was so confident in technical part. I got an offer from Infosys as a consultant. And this is, I got selected based in US. I said, we got not just 1, 2, 3, but stories after stories. This is like Gargi. This is, the guys are saying value worth more than what we paid. Now, another story I get is, hey, I can learn on my own. Let me see if I can, another questions I'm getting. My team should be there to help you. If you're hitting any problems, let my team know as well. Okay, my team is helping you. Not about 2,000 pounds, not 2,000 pounds, it's 1,200 pounds, 1,200. So 1,200 multiplied by 24 days. And I was doing some side project as well. So 1,200 multiplied by 2, it's not 2,000, it's 1,200 pounds. 2,000 might be my my consultancy, some other agency might be charging. Okay. What are the basic knowledge like MS Office skills? Nagarjun, you don't need any Microsoft SQL Office. You don't do that as well. Okay. Is this a live training or a recorded sessions? It's a live session. So we will be giving you both. We'll be having a pre-recorded videos as well as live sessions. Rahman is saying, I'm a DBA, how this technology will boost my career. So Rahman, in the live session, we showed you the database, SQL databases are running. I'm going to cover that as well. I've mentioned about the price, Ramesh. I think I've already mentioned that price. Great. Okay, another thing which I get is, hey, I can learn this on my own, or I can learn from Udemy. And I'm not doubting Udemy, but trust me, I bought many courses. I started with Udemy, but I give up and I've never finished any of the courses. How many of you guys are there who started with Udemy but have never completed it? Let me know. Put in the chat window and say you bought Udemy courses. Trust me, and don't feel guilty. I'm one of them. I bought probably more than 100 Udemy courses, and I bought every possible course, and I started that but never finished it. So how many of you guys are there like that who started? I'm getting yes, 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 me. Yes, absolutely. And that is, so I thought, is it just me? And I gave it to my team as well, and my team is pretty much same. So I googled it, and then I was surprised to see the result that um, out of the guys who register for Udemy courses, 70% of the student never even start the course, and those who start, they leave it 30%. And then later I was doing a lot of research why that happens. And what I realized based on my personal experiences, people start with the Udemy course, they hit a problem, and there's no support. And then somehow they find out and they figure out and they fix the problem. And they hit another problem. And they struggle for a couple of days, and then they initially they're very motivated, and then later 2-3 days after like that 2-3 times problem hit, they give up because it's too complex to troubleshoot. And that's where in our training program we have a support, WhatsApp support. Hit any problem, we are there to help you. Most of the chances are there, it's already included, and you're doing something. If you have any questions, you can ask in WhatsApp group. So this is what, yes, you can learn on your own, but it's complicated. Trust me, I've tried myself learning on my own. I've tried Googling. I've also tried bought a lot of courses or to learn on self-learn. You definitely need a help, handing hold. So you can learn on your own, but it's going to be complicated, confusing, trust me. Or you can go for simple and strategic, just follow someone who has already gone through before you. And we don't have just 1, 2, 3, we have hundreds or 100 guys. We'll be bringing those guys inside the program on what the mistakes you should be avoiding in either interviews or for job certification as well. Another one, I can say, I don't have time. And this is where time, Celeste, like exactly like you, where you get out. The time was the biggest challenge for me. My family, big team to manage, workplace, my own deliverables. I didn't have time to study. So videos on portal and ability to learn at my own pace is the best thing I can think of. I usually learn while I commute and jump on live sessions whenever my busy schedule allows me. And this is where the beauty is, where let's suppose for some reason if you can't join, you can come back to the next batch as well. You can come back again and again for this. So Selesh is based in US. Like that, we have lots and lots of stories that. So as I said, you have 100% money back guarantee. I want to repeat one more time this guarantee that you need to show the proof that you took action, and forget about even attending the sessions. As long as you do the labs, all we are going to ask you is a screenshot of the lab. Make a note of the screenshot if you're nervous, if you think. Trust me, it will not happen. If you do all the labs, we know that you'll come back again, not for just 1, 2, but multiple courses. And the result of all why we are so successful is all because of this, is because we provide value. So if you're really serious to learn Docker, Kubernetes, and not just Docker, we're also adding CRIO. So Kubernetes, you might have heard Kubernetes opening up for other containers. So as long as other containers come with Kubernetes, we are going to, when I say for certification exam, we're going to improve, we're going to add that. Any changes that happens, we constantly update the program. So that's a result. That's the reason why people come back again and again. Now I'll take free questions and say timing, as I said, morning US hours, depending on summer or winter, 6 or 7 a.m. What if I miss a session? You don't need to worry about. For some reason, if you miss a session, the recording will be available in the portal. You can learn and you can come back again and again for over the next 1 year. If you're not ready right now, you can come back later. You can say my 1 year can you start my 1 year from maybe 2 months, 3 months later? We can do that. Quality guarantee, as I said, you have 100% money back guarantee. You have 60 days. As long as you show the proof that you did the lab, we'll take 96 hours. And once we see verify the labs, we'll refund you money. How will I practice? We are going to give you step-by-step labs to create an account in Azure Cloud with your, so you can practice. And once those free trial is over, you can create another trial account. We have already done it number of times for our students. How long it takes? 8 to 12 weeks. You can do it in 6 as well. You can do it in even 2 weeks if you're passionate like me, who wants to do things. Once they start, you can't stop it. If you can do, we'll be there to support you. But my thing is, learn your own pace. Don't stress out. We'll be there as long as it takes. If you take, some guys do it in 8 weeks, some guys 12 weeks, some guys even take 16 weeks, some guys stretch it over 6 months. It's a journey, not it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But if you want a sprint, we'll help you. If you're doing a project, we'll help you. Don't worry about it. So take your own time. That's why we have take your own pace. So in just 10 years, both cameraman and pilot were replaced. Make sure you upgrade yourself. Make sure you're learning cloud and other things. As I said, we believe in result, whether you're doing it for job, whether you have a gap, whether you're interested to find a job. Another one here, Vinay, able to crack too big. This is for another program, but he is able to to crack 2 interviews. Our focus is for for you to get a job and certification, or you just want, you're doing a project work and you just need help of project. You're not worried about certification. You're not worried about, you are already learning, but you need some support in your project. Andavan Srinivas, $1 million project, 30 team management. I just need someone whom I can go if any problem comes. And this is where experts like Ramesh. So I'm going to take some questions, and these bonus, which I said, a lot of you guys have already registered. So big congratulations for those who have registered. Anil, Ravi Teja, Sumir, Rob T, Sai Bunur, Colin Sack, MM Assume, one second, Amit UP. So a lot of guys, if I've not taken your name, it's just like my team have not forwarded your thing to me. But big congratulations for all those who have paid. Who are still borderline. Make sure you ask question. Make sure if it is right. Last thing I want for you is that to have doubt whether to in or out. You either say I'm not for this. This is not for me. Happy. If you think that you have some concerns, questions, you want to speak, my team will be there to help you. Just give your country code and phone number. They will be happy to help you. Now the bonus which I said worth 497 is only for limited time, and the price is, I don't want to guarantee 697 how long it's going to stay. It is there. I would expect at least for another 1 or 2 days, but I might increase that. So I want to be transparent as well, that people might say, oh, you've increased the price. I've not increased the price. Right now it's discounted. We'll tell you. Now prerequisite. What is the prerequisite? We see in a lot of companies, Linux masternode always runs on the Linux as of now. So we are going to run in Linux, and we see a lot of jobs as well, Linux administrator with Kubernetes. Again, you don't need to be Linux administrator. I'm saying we do Kubernetes on Linux. So having a Kubernetes Linux knowledge will, having a Linux knowledge will help. But if you don't have, you don't need to worry about. We have a separate program called Linux for Beginners. We used to do it for $97. We are not doing it anymore. We are giving this absolutely free with Kubernetes. So those who already paid, you'll get it free. And this is how the bonus, depending on when you paid, you will be getting these maybe 1 or 2 or more. Those who've already paid, you'll get all of these bonuses. I'll explain one by one all these bonuses. And this is what makes you us ahead of others. Someone is asking, what is your unique selling point? This is our unique selling point. 1 year of zone support. But other things which we have realized in the last 2-3 years is that people look for these things. So we have, depending on, you may or may not see, depending on when you register. If you register during the class, this free class, you'll get all of these. So basic Linux commands, which is here, we'll be talking about how do you do the basic like VI, which is the editor, permissions, copy file, how do you do the common Linux commands, connectivity, man page, other things. So you'll be covered that. Any programming language, you don't need any programming or coder. You don't need to be any coding language knowledge. You don't need a Python, PHP, nothing, no coding. This is an administrator program. And when you're writing and when you're deploying the code, you'll be deploying using YAML. But we are going to teach you what is YAML. YAML is nothing but set of instructions written in English language, which is easy to follow and deploy. So we're going to teach you about YAML inside the program. You don't need any coding. Whether you're developing in Java, .NET, PHP, whether you're coder or not, you don't need a coding, any programming. I don't know programming. I'm the most, the programming or coding makes me nervous. So you don't need to worry about. Now, this is another interesting thing, and this is what makes us unique and different. DevOps, Git, Jenkins, Ansible, Terraform. You might have heard of these words. And what we realize is that, hey, with Kubernetes, there are a lot of guys, our companies are asking for DevOps engineer or Kubernetes DevOps. You might have heard of these. How many of guys looked into Kubernetes jobs and are thinking about Kubernetes with DevOps? Let me see in the chat window. Give me there's still a wow. There's a big group here as well. I need AKS and Kubernetes. We are going to cover Rajshekhar. AKS is also coming. Don't worry. D, what is your question? Can you repeat that? There's a lot of questions are coming. D, share your question. And Nagar Jun, I think your number is from UK. We'll be covering that. Hey, my team is my team. There are a lot of questions were unanswered. Can someone from my team pick up these questions? There are a lot of questions. Um, um, Richa is saying, Atul, I do see importance of CKS and want to register for it now due to the low price, but I'm not confident as of today if I can do it. What do you suggest? Will I be boost my security knowledge? I have no experience in admin or Linux security. So you don't need a admin Richa, you need to have for CKS, you need to have the CK as a prerequisite. So you should be going for CKS and CK together. If you're going just for CKs, it will not help. You need to have the Kubernetes knowledge first, CK, but not having Linux or admin. So Linux is not a problem. We're going to teach inside the program, because in order for you to be a CKS knowledge, one of the knowledge is required Linux security or operating system security. We're going to teach that. Linux or security, both of those we are going to cover, but you need to be a CK Richa for that. I hope that makes sense. So we are not teaching just Kubernetes security. If Pramod, if you need Kubernetes security, you need to be a CK. And if you're already CK and you just want Kubernetes security, there is 997. My team will help you. URL to register for, you don't need to register for others. Which one, Sandeep? Let my team know which one others will explain you. Okay, so what, let me coming back to DevOps. As I said, there's a lot of DevOps jobs available with Kubernetes. And what we have noticed is that Kubernetes DevOps is basically nothing but development plus operations, both team working together. And most of the time what we have seen when people look for Kubernetes, they also put DevOps. It's not mandatory. You can get a job alone with Kubernetes itself, but having a DevOps knowledge will help. And in that, Kubernetes, especially about Ansible or Docker, Ansible, Git, Terraform, and Jenkins. So we have a separate program, and you can buy it separately, $197. And if anyone wants separately, let my team know. Just give your phone number and country code, and team will give you separately. If you want buy these separately, we're more than happy to buy. I don't want you to buy because that will reduce the value of this for you. When I say if you're interested, you can buy. You're getting all these things free with that. Otherwise, I know you'll come back again. A lot of guys come back again and they say, can you now give me that free? We will not do that later. So you will have DevOps Foundation. We have a separate program. Again, this is a live interactive. There's also a weekly session we will be doing for DevOps Foundation. And this is the program looks like. There are around 15 modules, and 15th module is about exam. There is a certification called DevOps Foundation certification from an organization called DevOps Foundation. We'll cover what is DevOps, basic concepts, everything. We also talk about DevOps principle, DevOps culture, framework, and roles, considerations, DevOps automation, how do you adopt DevOps. So first 9 modules are more theory in my view, but the real fun begins with module 10, where you'll be learning Git, which is a code repository, or GitHub centralized code repository. Continuous integration, CI/CD, you must have heard with Jenkins. Docker, you will be anyway learning in detail in the program itself. Ansible, Terraform, and then how do you prepare for this exam. So this is the videos, like what is SAF framework, what is Agile framework, what is Scrum framework, what is ITIL framework, what is Lean framework, what is Spotify framework, Waterfall, Kanban. All these are concepts about DevOps, like development framework. And then DevOps culture. This is exam quiz questions. This is a separate certification from DevOps. This is a certification which is DevOps Institute, DevOps Foundation. You'll be getting this certification preparation absolutely free. So there'll be another program. You'll be getting DevOps Foundation as a part of this. So now another thing which I get, and these are over the last couple of years, people keep coming and say, hey, I'm applying the job and I'm asking, guys are asking this. So we keep adding more and more content. but it's otherwise you can we used to suggest earlier separate program, but people were asking about, so we incorporated on inside the program but depending on when you get it, you may or may not get it. That's what I want to clear. If you're doing it, buying in now under the during the live session, well, in this session, you'll be getting all these free. But later, we probably might be increasing the price, or we may or may not include these. So, do I need automation or CI/CD? So another thing which we have seen is like with Docker and Kubernetes, CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment, or continuous delivery. People use it depending on, there's a continuous delivery, continuous deployment, CI/CD. So we see these as well as on the job. So let me explain first of all, when you're deploying, developers will develop the code like be it .NET, Java, Python, and then they will push that code into Git repository. And then the build team will build this using Docker file and create a Docker image. So today we have not covered Docker file or not created a Docker image, but inside the program we'll use a Docker file, which is nothing but a set of instructions through which you pick a code and then convert into an image. And then you push that image into a registry, which could be a Docker hub. So you push that image as an administrator or as a build guy. And once this image is deployed in the Kubernetes, in Docker Hub, you use, this is what I was talking about. Someone was asking about how do we deploy pod or what is YAML? This is an example of YAML or a pod deployment. So I'm saying deploy the pod, and name of the pod is static web. And I'm doing image as Nginx image, which is nothing but a web server, also load balancer. And I'm deploying this on port number 80. And I'm doing, my container is running on 80 TCP port number. So I can deploy this using YAML file on my Kubernetes cluster, now different machines, and these are pods. So I can deploy these pods here. So this is manual deployment, and we're going to do this inside the program anyway. But what companies want is they want to automate that build. So in automation, you as a developer will, or not as a developer, someone as a developer will push into code repository, and we'll have this guy, which is like famous Jenkins. So Jenkins is a open source tool for build and deployment, CI/CD. So when a developer will develop and say commit, it will trigger a build, and Jenkins will pick up that code with automatically Docker file and create an image and push it into the Docker. And then same Jenkins guy will pick up the image and then push it into or deploy it into the Kubernetes cluster. And then later you can also deploy this Kubernetes cluster using Ansible or Terraform. So you can automate all this. And this is important when you're doing CI/CD, you're saying develop, and you as the administrator can set up all this, and knowledge of these things will help. So another program which is CI/CD tools like on Git and Jenkins for Kubernetes. We used to do this. We have stopped doing, or we sometime do this on verse 397. But you are going to get, those who have already registered, you're going to get this absolutely free as a part of the training program. So it's comprehensive, again, as I said, program covering everything that is required. So this is a bonus, which is CI/CD. Okay, the screenshot is wrong here. It should be, no, sorry, this is right, sorry. So this is DevOps CI/CD using Git and Jenkins on Docker and Kubernetes. We are showing it on Azure Kubernetes. We just want to give you another flavor of that. So Azure Kubernetes. So here we are first deploying it manually. So lesson 4, and so first we is what is DevOps and introduction to CI/CD. But lesson 4 and 5 we are doing it manual deployment. So around 50 minutes of manual deployment, and then we are deploying it on automatic using CI/CD Jenkins, and there'll be a step-by-step guide as well with the videos and then guide. And this is the guide look like. So chapter 3 is going to be more step-by-step guide, manual deployment, but step-by-step manual deployment. And then we're going to use the same code, everything automatically, so that the minute my developer say commit, it'll go and create an image, and then also go and deploy in your Kubernetes cluster. Once your testers test it, you can further extend it and testers test it and say, now deploy it on my production environment. You can automate that as well. So all the steps are there in this guide. So you'll be getting this as absolutely free. Now, another thing we get is, hey, can I go do it on Microsoft Azure? Or how about deploying in Microsoft Azure Cloud? So another job opportunities comes is, hey, deploying in Azure Kubernetes. Now, again, I'm adding these and these because we see people coming up different things. Kubernetes alone, knowledge of Kubernetes alone will earn you a lot of money, but extending with these will help you jobs like this, will help you getting a job. There are not a lot of guys who know Kubernetes first alone, or Kubernetes on AWS, or Kubernetes on Azure, or Kubernetes CI/CD, and that is the reason why our guys are so successful. They've got the jobs. So Azure Kubernetes on, how do you do deploy Kubernetes on Azure? So this is another from our program. So you have a master node, like the way we saw in AWS. You have a master node which is managed by Azure. You will have access from a graphical user interface, but you don't need to manage the machines for a master node. You'll be managing something called as worker nodes. So you run multiple worker nodes like that. If this node needs networking, you'll be taking it from Azure Virtual Network. If you need from storage, you'll be needing it from Azure Storage Disk. And that's what we are going to cover and explain. What is Azure Disk? These are Azure files for storage. There's a network, Azure network, and then load balancers. So how do you deploy Azure Kubernetes architecture, all those things as well. So this is where you have, let me take questions as, or I'm taking up my team. I hope my team is taking our questions. Can someone from my team, I think I can see Harsh, can you pick up the questions? Mrigakshi or Simran as well behind the scene. Are all these, yeah, yes, Shri, these are included. Whatever I'm explaining, these are all included in the inside the program free, but only for those who joined during the program. I hope I hope these you're getting, you are going to get these free if you register while we are in the class. Later we might add it or we might not add it. That's why I don't want to give the false promise, but those who have registered already, they will get it. So I can see MP, I think Pramod, you've also registered for that. So all those who are registering while we are in the live, you'll be getting all these things free. I hope that makes sense. Tomorrow we might increase the price. We might probably be adding, we might be asking, later you may not get it. I hope that makes sense. Kamlesh is saying, I want to learn Kubernetes, and if I keep learning via labs and courses, will that give me an idea about real-time scenarios, which will help in job interviews? Absolutely, Kamlesh. Not only this, we also have interview questions. I'm coming to that point as well. So we have covered you everything, Kamlesh. So that will not only give you the job opportunities, the project work at the end of this program. Also, we have sample interview questions on for this. So we've covered, as I said, that's what I'm saying. It's when I said at the start, it's a comprehensive step-by-step program. So Azure Kubernetes, let me come back to, so this is your Azure network, and you create Microsoft Azure. In that, we call it a Azure VNet. So a virtual network, inside that you're creating a Kubernetes cluster. So this is a Azure Kubernetes service icon in that machine, and you can create it multiple machines. Now, the way I said, images are for Docker Hub, and the repository of images in Docker, it's Docker Hub. In AWS, it's EK, Elastic Kubernetes Registry, ECR. So Elastic Container Registry, ECR. So in AWS, it's ECR. In AKS, it's ACR, Azure Container Registry. You can build your own registry as well, or you can go and buy one of these registries very cheap. You only pay for storage. Or you can build your own custom repository as well. So you have a registry, container registry, and then what you do, you create pods. So you might deploy a SQL pod, database pod, and you deploy your application pod where you have, for example, Redis cache or Python or PHP code. And then my application needs to talk to the database, and this is where the service is. There is another concept we have not covered in the free class today, but in the training program, we'll go in deep. This service, there are 4 different type of services come: load balancers, notepod, machine IP. All those things we are going to cover inside the program for your service. So this application needs to talk to the MySQL pod. Instead of talking over the pod IP, this pod can talk to this pod over the IP, but we don't want to do that. We do it via the service. Because if a pod IP gets changed, my service will take care of that. I don't need to worry about it. So that is what you deploy. And then you front end, you configure a load balancer in front of that, and you access your application. Your business users will be accessing application from here. Sorry. So this is what will be Azure Kubernetes. So we have another program which is all these are part of absolutely free as long as you register Azure Kubernetes Service AKS worth 497 inside the program for you. And this is how Azure Kubernetes look like. We'll be talking about building a ACI, Azure Container Instance, which is nothing but your Docker container on inside Docker container. ACR is Azure Container Registry to store the images. And then how does architecture of Kubernetes on AKS Azure looks like, networking, storage, security. How do you create Kubernetes cluster? And then there's another concept called Helm. Helm is a package manager or deploying applications. So how do you use Helm to deploy applications on Azure Kubernetes? We will be showing you that as well. So Helm is like Yum or apt update that you saw earlier. How do you deploy that? We're going to cover that as well. I hope that makes sense. So you're getting you're getting 497 worth of Kubernetes Azure Kubernetes service. You're getting let me tell you, you're also getting CI/CD worth $397. You are getting DevOps Foundation program as well, worth 197, and there's no coding. And as your AWS Kubernetes I've already mentioned, because and this is all based on our students asking, and those who already registered will get it. If you've registered in past, you know that you will be getting these as well. So with that, another question I get is, hey, can freshers learn it? Absolutely, and you must do that. In fact, we hired a couple of freshers. I'm going to bring, maybe, I'm not sure whether I've added a story, but Piyush, he was in the 4th year and he attended from one of the college. Someone in his college recommended these sessions. So he said, if I learn this, if I get certified, will you hire me? You are saying that you're confident that freshers can get a job. Yes, I'm so confident. If you do all these things, fresher can get a job. In fact, I'll be more than happy to hire you. If you're based, my team is in India, I've hired him as well. He's successfully done certification in his 4th year of the college, in engineering college. So freshers, yes. And um, people say, oh, without job experience, how can I get a job? You can, as long as you have done these things. People will not get a job, give a job if you've not never done anything. But if you say that I have done all these deployments, I know how 30, 40 things or lab, and these labs are on real job implementations, real based examples, and all these certification with the certification. Because companies know that as a fresher, they don't need to pay that expensive as an experienced guy. So you can definitely get a job fresher. Now, so what we have done is we've also added that guys who are working. One thing I've noticed, when people used to come and they would learn from our training, they were initially struggling to get a call. And I was surprised why they're struggling to get a call, because they have such a wonderful thing. What I've noticed is they were not writing the CV nicely, and they were having one static CV every time. So we started this program where we do a lot of CV reviews and interviews, and we stopped doing that because it's very time consuming. It takes a lot of effort. So I don't do it anymore now, this 199. But we incorporated in our program because it helps in getting a job. So what we recommend is, for every job, change your CV, not fake it. I repeat one more time, never fake it. It'll be quickly. If an experienced person is taking an interview, they within minutes they will find out. So whatever is required, you highlight and be transparent. And as long as you've done 60 to 70% of what an employer is asking, put it. And remaining 30% say, I'm a quick learner. So we give you a sample CVs depending on someone is fresher to 2 years, 2 to 8 years, 8 to 12 years, and 12 years plus 4 different set of CVs depending on your CV. But we can also critique and reviewing your CV. But when you send us for review, you'll be sending us with job description and CV, because we expect that every CV should speak to the employer and say, look, this is the guy I was wanting. So remove all the clutter and focus on what employer is asking. If they're asking how to deploy using CI/CD, focus about CI/CD. If they're asking high availability in disaster recovery, focus about high availability in disaster recovery. If they're asking about troubleshooting, focus more about troubleshooting. And some things you will always be putting. So CV review is part of that. You'll be getting is $199 worth. It takes way lot more than effort, trust me. And my time and my team's time is now, Ramesh time is very precious. We pay, the guys are very resources who review these CVs. And so that's why I've stopped doing this CV review now. We used to do this earlier. When I said stop doing separately, we do it as a part of the program for those who registered during the live. So it's only while we are in live. Also, you'll be getting sample CV. So Kubernetes admin sample and interview questions. There'll be set of interview questions, what you can expect in the interviews. Again, interviews questions can differ, but these are some of the common questions like tell us architecture, what you have done, what are the common issues you have encountered, where exactly, how, what all, for example, you said, oh, you've implemented on AWS cloud, what all other services you've implemented with? Did you use code pipeline to deploy the code on AWS, or have you used monitoring service? What all monitoring service you used on AWS or Azure, or how do you troubleshoot? So these are questions you'll be expecting inside the program, and these are some of the guys who attend the interviews, the feedback, and we put it into this. Now, another thing which I comes is, hey, what should I do? And a lot of questions I see about is CK, CKAD, CKs, which one to choose? Oh, my CK is the last. So I highly recommend, if you are not from a development background, you should always go for CK. And for CKS, Certified Kubernetes Security, there's a prerequisite that CK, you must be CK first, because a lot of these security concepts will be picked up enhancement to the CK. So as I said, in November 2020, before November 2020, the Kubernetes administrator certification itself used to be just CK, alone CK and CKs both. But what they realize is security is becoming very, very critical. So they introduced another certification, CKS. We have a CKS worth $997. We do it, sell it separately, $997. But we recommend everyone who is CK, they only come to the CKS. So that's why we bundle together these two. We are giving this right now and in the program just on $300 combined with CKA. But if you're a developer, you can start with CKAD. If you're a Python, Java, .NET, PHP, any developer, you can begin with CKAD. If you're an architect, I would suggest you do all three. If you want to start, maybe you want to start with CK and then go for CKS. This is something can make you a lot of money. I'm telling you, in my personal experiences, I did a lot of identity and access management. That my year from the minute I started learning Oracle Access Manager, which was an identity management product, 2006 onward, 2006 to 2017, 18, money, big money. And then I did same security on cloud. I'm doing this myself on security now. I'm learning from experts. I don't count myself a Kubernetes security expert, but then we have another security expert on who's going to teach Kubernetes security. So developer, CKAD, others, CKA, and then followed by CK. So if you want all three, we do these three separately. Roughly around $3,000. You'll be getting it $1197. Let my team know. Those who've registered already, and because I think we have given it $997, you can do another $200 and you can get it. Let my team know. Drop an email to my team at contact@K21Academy.com or give your phone number and country code, and you say that you want to upgrade and you also want to do as well. Ramesh is saying, is CK a recorded session or live? All these are live sessions, Ramesh. So you'll be getting both recorded as live. We always give recorded and live. The reason being is that when you come to the class, you have some basic knowledge, so that when you come to the class, you will have, by the time you come to the live class, you will have your fuse, your mindset will be coming about and say, oh, how do I ask questions? So security is also live, Ramesh. All these which I'm talking about is live interactive sessions here. So CKS is live, CKAD is live, CK is live. All three are live interactive sessions. Why we record and why we recommend, it's not mandatory to watch them before coming to the class, but when you watch the class, when you watch the sessions or pre-recorded well-done videos and you come to the class, then you will have a lot of questions come to your mind. Why this? Why not this? As well. So let my team, yeah, so these are live. Kamlesh saying, before registering for the course, can I get a call from your team for some questions? I'm from India. Kamlesh, you can post here. As I said, my team will call you, but we don't want you to lose on the bonus, which is EKS. Put your country code and phone number. My team, someone from my team, Simran or Harsh, or can someone, Sam, can you call Kamlesh? Sam, another Simran, we have two Simrans, Sam and Simran. Sam, can you call Kamlesh, please? Okay. Okay, wonderful. Okay, let me continue from here. So you can upscale, or you can give a delta, or you can upgrade to the third course as well, CKAD, if you have not registered, by doing another $200. Okay, now, so I think I've already, no, so you can go to K8S04. I think why, I don't know why my team has picked up K8S404, but this is a URL, and you can reach out to my team. We'll be giving one single payment of $11.97 on that. Now, another question I keep coming, and this is like extensive. Like I've seen a lot of questions from testers, QA. Is it for testing? Is it for QA? This is the question I get. And again, we saw a lot of jobs. Not, I wouldn't call a lot of jobs, but yes, there are jobs come specifically for testers. But this is a good way to enter if you're a tester, if you're struggling to get a better paid job, or you're a tester and you want to move into the new line or new what's future is Kubernetes. So there are jobs come. There's a big gap in the market for testers of Kubernetes. So companies have administrators, companies have developers, they're implementing, they test, but when they need someone to test, they have no one, because testers have not come to that point where they realized, oh, it's a big market. So administrators or the guys who are implementing, they themselves are testing it, and companies don't like it. So they want someone to test it. And if you, there is a tools like available, we can help you for giving on those. We are planning to add. Right now we don't have specific to testing, but we are working on adding tools for testing like Kubebench and Kubetest, and I think TerraTest. Other tools are there. But when you learn this, it's easy for testers, so they can say, hey, I can test Kubernetes cluster now. So when developers administrator deploy, you also need whether applications deployed correctly. It can scale, it can auto heal, it can the performance is right, your applications services are configured properly, deployment is all working fine, all those functional and non-functional testing. So it will help definitely testers QA. We have a lot of testers as well inside the program who are learning. So you'll be learning as a Kubernetes administrator, but then add in your CV that you can also do the testing of Kubernetes based applications. Don't have experience, will I get a job? Now, when companies say that they need some experienced guy, what they mean by is someone who can do it or have already done it in past. They don't want someone to bring and teach them. So whatever you're going to learn here in the program, about 8 to 12 weeks, you're going to put that in your CV as a put that in your CV as a experience, like put that whatever you're going to learn, that it's done based on the real life example. So you will be putting that as a POC, proof of concept. You've done it, put that as an experience confidently, and we will be there to support you on the job. You don't need to worry about, as long as you have done the labs. And also there'll be projects coming. We are adding more and more projects, end-to-end projects. We're deploying on maybe AWS cloud or Azure cloud. You'll be getting a hold of that. Will this help network administrator, or how it will be relevant for network administrator? Absolutely, there's a big job for network administrators. So, and there are in fact jobs available in for network administrator, or highlight Kubernetes with networking experience, because networking is huge. And because you have a master node, you have a worker node, you have a one network for operating system level or machines level network, another network for your pods, another network for your services. So you need minimum 3 networks. And then how these network talk to each other. You have a load balancer, you have firewall, you have security of that. So if you see, this is again covered inside the program. You have a Docker networking, you have Kubernetes networking, you have networking basics, and you'll be learning load balancers, you'll be doing firewalls. I've not covered one of them, pod or firewalls as well. So these are all related to networking. Again, you don't need to know networking. We're going to teach you. That's why if you see the basics of networking, IPv4, if you don't know what is IPv6, if you're a network engineer, you should probably be knowing it, but we are going to teach you what is CIDR, what is public private IPs, VNets. And again, as I said, we've improved it so much that everything people come and say, I don't have anything knowledge on this. As long as required for Kubernetes, we've covered you. You don't need to worry about that. So networking, there's a big job. Another one asked, someone asked, is it for DBAs? I'm a DBA. So as I said, I've been doing this for a number of donkey years now. Not donkey years, 2-3 years, not very old. But then if you look in cloud market, it's donkey years, like 2-3 years. So as I said, 1 second. Is this for DBAs or database administrators? I keep questions are keep coming. Keep flowing those questions. I'll be taking up all the questions, guys, or my team will be there to help. So is it for DBAs? And yes, or not every database is not every database will be microservice based database, but your SQL Server supports. So when you're deploying on for Kubernetes, you'll be doing and saying, there's something called as, do you need does your database has a Kubernetes friendly database? There are multiple there are a lot of databases, but is your database Kubernetes friendly? If no, and then there's something called an operator or project, or do you need any workload? Depending on workload, you might want to run a virtual machine, or you need a managed database. But if your database is Kubernetes friendly, like SQL database, and then you have the workload that you have, database workload, which is Kubernetes friendly, then is it how much is ops workload, which means how much data effort is required by operations team. Do you want to automate it? Then you run it in Kubernetes. If not, you can go for fully managed database like Azure Cloud or RDS database on AWS. But there are a lot of work for DBAs who know Kubernetes, because companies have started realizing they want the distributed database like SQL Server, which can run across multiple machines, like nodes, stateful, and then you run using Kubernetes using an operator. In fact, there are a lot of containerized databases, CockroachDB, CouchDB, or MariaDB, SQLDB, MongoDB. So DBAs, you can scale and enhance that. Now, if you're from Oracle Cloud, I know a lot of my audience come from Oracle background. Oracle Cloud, if you're coming from Oracle Cloud, Oracle also have Kubernetes on Oracle Cloud, which master node is managed by Oracle. And you have worker node, which is managed by, all these are what you see in right hand side is worker node. You can run your worker node either virtual machines or bare metal. And then you can go further. These are my machines or nodes, and this is my shared mount point storage, which I've mounted across different machines, and my pods are running from there. So this is another example from the lab for Kubernetes on Oracle. So we do this Oracle Kubernetes as well, but that's again Kubernetes on Oracle. I know I've given a lot more than, but this is people are asking us, and we are adding more and more. And all those who register now, anything with that we add in future, you will get it absolutely free. So it's possible, it's totally possible. As I said, with Raj Lakshmi, Srinivas, another one here from Gargi, we believe in result, as I said, always. So this is in Gargi. She's working as a now DevSecOps now, in fact, security, and she's now part of our security as well, Kubernetes certified security. She's already done CK. Now we are part of CKS. Another one, Sachin, Vamsi. I can go on and on now here. Yep, did it finally, Gargi. Big thanks. Vamsi. Oh, another one, Sachin. I've just wanted to wish that of past CK. She's doing now. He's doing another program, AZ400. This is another one, like people go for another certifications, and then that's for us. When they recover the money, they want to go for another one because they've got the value as well. So you have two options to pay. You have probably around very short duration now left on while we are in this call. I'll be opening up some questions. There are a lot of questions which are unanswered. I'm going to pick up your questions now. And there'll be two programs, 697, one single payment, or 6 monthly payment of $149. Go to K21Academy.com/Kubernetes03. Scroll down somewhere in the middle. You will see two payment options. We pick one. And then if you want CKs, I'll highly recommend you. Trust me, I wouldn't do it normally, but CKs, I highly recommend you, because that I'm learning myself as well. We are bringing another expert who is a security expert. He's already certified on Kubernetes security, and is working with one of the big companies who's doing CKs, and he's managing the entire security of that. So you'll be getting that security program in just $300, $997 when you do it. If you don't want, you can say no thanks, I'll pay $997 later. You just won't see. So you say you don't select this, you select the bottom one. Or you can go, if you're going for monthly payment, you go for here saying I want CKS2. If you don't want, you simply say that no thanks, I'll pay $997, and you're just paying 6 payments of $149. Or otherwise you'll be paying 9 payments of $149, 9 months. So as I said, this bonus class, which is Docker and Kubernetes on AWS, which is worth $497, is absolutely free now while we are in this class. After that, it will be gone. So this bonus will be completely gone. There are some other bonuses which are there, but we might take them off anytime. Also, as I said, but EKS, which is Docker and Kubernetes on AWS, will be gone after this. This is an example of Gargi, Piyush, Jess Shrikar, Nirmal. I have lots and lots of case studies. And Nirmal is like free class. He attended the free class like that, received assistant during enrollment, joined K21 Academy. The trainer is brilliant, always pitches to explain any minor and major doubts and queries. K21 support team is great at addressing the issues and replies promptly to queries through the WhatsApp groups community. I've recommended my friends to attend this free class and would recommend K21 Academy to anyone looking to switch their current profile and guidance. Piyush, this is what I was talking about. I've hired him now. He's so brilliant. He's done it in fresh 4th year while studying as well. The LinkedIn profile, Jay Shrikar. I was not able to clear my CK certification in first attempt. Then I joined K21 Academy. The course was very self-explanatory and they explained everything right from the basics. The prompt response, again, as I said, everything about service. For me, quality is very, very important and help as and when you need it. I hope that makes sense. And Gargi, I've cleared my certification in first attempt. I'm very thankful. She's now part of our CKS. She's done. I would definitely recommend everyone to join K21 Academy who's passionate about DevOps or cloud. I'll be able to prepare myself for hands-on exam, but the K21 Academy made it very easy. I joined their classes first time and do not regret it. So I said like lots and lots of success stories all on our website. If you're interested, go to k21academy.com/Kubernetes. Now with that, I'm going to hand it over to my team. We'll be here for 15 more minutes. If I see that many questions, if I don't see questions, we might close it before that, and the bonus will be gone after this. And the price is, as of now, it's 697 or 6 monthly payment of 149. And a lot of guys have since then are also paid to big congratulations, Oluwadimilo. And as I said, I don't have everyone's number, so guys, don't worry if you have not pronounced your name. Robin, welcome to the program. And a lot of guys have already taken their name. Root key, one second. I also have, one second, I forgot the name. Root key Z, V Pathak G, brilliant. Guys, thank you very much. Let me take these questions and let me unmute you myself. Oh, sorry, not unmute. Let me remove this and let me go and come live as well. And what I say, hold on one second. Can my team read out the questions, please? And if we missed your question, guys, can you unmute? Oh, sorry, not unmute. Can you post your questions now? If I've missed earlier, I'll be picking up all the questions. If your question is not responded, unmute yourself and ask now. Oh, no, not unmute. Post in WhatsApp group and my team will be sharing that. Let me put my, hold on guys, 1 second. Can you repeat the question or can you speak the question, please? Take the question, please, my team.
Hello, hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, so the first question is from Kamlesh and he's asking, I want to learn Kubernetes and if I keep learning via labs and courses, will that give an idea about real-time scenarios, which will help in job interviews?
Absolutely. So first, what we're going to do is, first we're going to start from basics, but as you go and mature the program, inside the program, you're going to get more and more real-time case studies, what you do. So all the labs that we have picked up are from the actual real implementations, so that you get a sense of how these things are done in the program. On top of that, we are also adding I think we've already have a project work, which is like you'll be doing like as you do in real project. And apart from that, we have interview questions which sample. So everything is covered inside the program for you. You don't need to worry about Kamlesh. I don't know why my internet keeps, or like my network wire keeps going. So sorry, 1 second. Okay, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, great. Big congratulations, guys, for those who have already registered. Thank you very much. I hope my audio is on. Sorry, the video is on as well. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. You will get the recording now. So those who want to leave, don't worry about it. And if you're done, and if you don't want to stay here, which is totally fine, I'm going to take all the questions. But if you want to stay, I would love you to stay here. A lot of guys are still here. So yeah, let's take the questions, please.
Yeah, the next question is from Robert, and he's asking, I'm currently in your Azure Solution Architect course. Would you recommend this course in addition? And if so, should I be concerned about whether being in two programs concurrently is trying to do too much at the same time?
I think it's a very good point. What is his name?
Robert.
Robert. Rob, I think good, and I totally understand your question and concern. And first of all, for others, this is the value we provide. Robert is already working on our Azure Solution Architect, which is AZ 303, 304. So that means we are doing something good, then people are coming back, because we know that we can recover his cost of Azure Solution Architect quickly, and he can learn from here. So what I would suggest you is, Robert, what you can do is you can lock this price now, and you can say my 1 year will start from once I complete Azure Solution Architect. So we are extending, we can extend you after 6 months. You can start learning both parallelly, focus on one, complete that. And I don't want you to lose on the bonuses as well as the discounted price that we are doing, but it definitely will add value to your Kubernetes training, or what you sorry your Azure training. So I would suggest you, but and then maybe start learning from the videos as and when you want. You as Azure Solution Architect will definitely come across Kubernetes, no doubt about it. When you're doing Kubernetes, implementation, sorry, when you're doing Azure implementation, you'll be definitely doing implementation on Kubernetes. So it'll definitely help. You should go for it, but maybe start after after doing Azure program. Yeah. So lock the price by registering now and start your 1 year from the date once you finish your Azure. I hope that makes sense. But you'll get all the material, everything ready immediately now. Big congratulations for T Korean. I think you went for all three courses together: Docker, Kubernetes, CK, CK, CKAD. Brilliant. Those who are part of who bought CK and CKAD, or just CK and CKS, and they want to CKAD as well, let my team know, and we can give you in $200 the remaining the program. Okay, but that will be applicable when you do it in now or next 24 hours, because after that you'll be paying the normal amount. Okay, Vinay is saying, what is the duration of Azure Kubernetes? What is the duration of for Azure Architect? Vinay will take it separately. Reach out, drop an email to my um, team, which is on, give your phone number and country code, or drop an email to contact@k21academy.com. We'll take it separately as your architect. Next one, please.
Yeah, the next question is from Shayan, and he is asking, can I get into cloud or Docker job from technical support role?
Of course, yeah. Can you repeat one more time? I'm not sure why that question is, because that's self-explanatory. Can you repeat one more time who this question is from? Can I
This
get a job
question is,
from? Huh?
yeah, he is asking, can I get into cloud or Docker job from technical support role?
Absolutely, absolutely. You will technical support. That's what you'll be doing. But make sure you understand and learn Docker and Kubernetes. Do all the labs. Prepare a CV, and then you'll get a job. No doubt about it. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, the next question is from Albert, and he's asking, what is more valuable, OCI or Kubernetes?
Oh, that's a tricky one because I started with OCI first. Okay, I'll be transparent. I've done a lot of work on OCI as well as Kubernetes. Um, in the market, of course, I'll be sad to say, but Kubernetes has a much bigger market. That's my view. If you're already working, if you already have a project on OCI, then go for OCI, but I would say Kubernetes. I wish I could have done Kubernetes a little bit earlier. Maybe in 2015 I would have done, but I have no regrets. I would say it's keeping me so busy. Kubernetes is keeping us so busy, and especially with cloud, and game changer, no doubt. Okay, so it might be because of you reading Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. I'll be transparent. I got into Oracle Cloud back in 2015-16. It's very early infancy. It used to be old generation cloud that time. So don't go with the t-shirt. Ignore that, please. Okay. There's one or two questions I'm taking about fees. Pramod is saying my team will be helping you. I think, Pramod. I have a question. Understand of AWS services. Can we understand Docker and Kubernetes? Without knowing deep understanding of AWS services, can we understand Docker and Kubernetes? Oh, absolutely. So Docker and Kubernetes has nothing to do with AWS. Without AWS, without cloud, so people get confused. Docker and Kubernetes has nothing to do with cloud. You can run Docker and Kubernetes on on-premise itself without any cloud. You can also deploy Docker and Kubernetes on cloud in a normal way, or manage Kubernetes like AWS on AWS. So yes, to answer your question, Pramod, yes, you can learn Docker and Kubernetes without any knowledge of AWS. You can do that. Absolutely. Um, Next is Neil is saying, uh, so what should I do to register for the Kubernetes and Docker program, which is from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. GMT? So what you need to do, Neil, you need to go to this URL, which is k21academy.com/Kubernetes03. Scroll down somewhere in the middle, and they'll be, have you done, has anyone in my team changed the time? You've already used 9 minutes. Is it correct? Or Megakshi, have you started from 15 minutes? Because 6 minutes, we are going to close this.
Yeah, we started from 15 minutes.
Oh gosh, time just flew. So I need to make it quick answers. Okay, sorry. Guys, so Neil, you go to this URL Kubernetes 03, scroll there somewhere in the middle. You will have the payment options to one single payment of 697 or 6 monthly payment of 149. You pick one of them, either of them, and then you enter your credit card details, or you can use PayPal or credit or debit card. And then later, once you've made the payment, you will also get an option to add Kubernetes security, CKS, which is like just $300. Otherwise, it's $997. You can skip that if you don't want. You just want to do CK, just go for CK. Or if you want to add CKS, I highly recommend you to add CKS if you want to move in Kubernetes, but it's totally up to you. If you can't afford right now, if you want to test it and then go for CKS later, you can always pay $997. I don't mind taking that. So yes, that's what you need, Neil. I hope that makes sense, please. And with that, you'll be getting all these bonuses, which you can, which we are going to cover as a part of the training program itself. Yep, next one, please.
Yeah,
Let
the
me,
next
Mridakshi, I'll take two questions and then I'll ask you two. Radha is saying, Radha did my CK course and want to join CKs. Can I able to do the CKs course ahead before CK certification? Am I valid for CKs for 300 discount? No, Radha. So CKs, you were given that option earlier in past when you did for CKA. I think you decided to pass that opportunity, so that offer is gone for you. Because I think you're part of my CK. Reach out to my team on the normal channel or in my team will help you. If you're part of same, rather you're part of my other Azure as well as CK course as well. Okay. Sorry. Neil is saying, okay, yes. Yes, Neil. Let me answer. Yes, Neil, yes. Okay. Sorry, I got Anand is saying CKD, what will be covered from a developer standpoint of what is a difference are in content with respect to CK? Very good question, Anand. So CK and CKED, there's around 50% or 60% is common between CK and CKD, because CKD developer will also need to learn CK. However, for CKAD, for developers point of view, we will be teaching containerizing the application. How do you containerize the application? So whatever application you've written, how do you convert them into containers? That's where we're going to add extra. There'll be something called as a multi-container pod, which we saw. There's a lot of questions come about multi-container pod and the design patterns for multi-container pod. We're going to cover that as a CKD. There's also something called as persistent volume claims and persistent volume. You'll be doing more persistent volume claim and persistent volume. There's also config map, which is all your configuration parameter, because you don't want to hard code the configuration parameters inside the code. You'll be externalizing them and you'll be doing config map. This is also called as secrets, which is nothing but sensitive information. How do you protect that? And there'll be pod security, which is like the policies to protect your pod, which you're deploying as a part of application, and a little bit of integration of that. We have a separate page, I think, Anant, as a part of. Reach out to my team. They will help you if you need difference between CK and CKD. Yep. Yeah, thanks, Naveen. I'll take care. Sorry for that. It's my team. I think someone, my team will take care of next time. I've taken your comment, Naveen. Thank you very much. Yeah. Anant, I've replied. Okay. Nagarju is saying, I have no background of IT. Can I do this course? So yes, Nagarju, if you don't have any IT background, you might take slightly longer, but we'll help you and support you. There are guys who are with no IT background. You'll be starting with Linux basics. We'll be giving you the cloud basic concepts. And if you don't have any IT knowledge, let my team know. We can give you some additional things to bring you up to speed quickly about that. But yes, you can do that. There are guys who are part of non-IT, but you'll need a little bit more, couple of weeks extra for you, but we've covered for you there. Thanks, Megakshi, over to you.
Yeah, the next question is uh, from Lee, and he is asking, do you recommend using things like Code Trainer as a GUI manager for Docker or Kubernetes environment?
Come again, last one. Sorry, I missed that. Do you want to recommend what?
Yeah, you recommend using things like Code Trainer as a GUI manager for Docker or Kubernetes environment?
No, I think we have Kubernetes GUI, but I think maximum time you will be doing without GUI. In CKS, we have a Kubernetes dashboard, but we or other things. But GUI, we usually do it from command line, because most of the time in exam as well as on actual implementations, you'll be doing from command line. So that's what we are going to recommend in our cloud courses. Or if you're doing there are some managed Kubernetes, like Rancher is there. There are other managed Kubernetes deployment, or like your Azure Kubernetes or AWS Kubernetes. You can do it from GUI. You will be doing initially from GUI. Once we have done from GUI, couple of times graphical user interface, when I say GUI, then you would want to do it from command line. So command line is the better. Nagarjun is saying the URL is not working. Let me give you or type you the URL, Nagarjun. HTTPS K21 Academy, academy.com/Kubernetes, KUBERNETES 03. My team is today, I think either we are getting too many questions, or my team is busy, very busy. Okay, sorry. Yep, next one, please.
Yeah, the next question is again from Kamlesh, and is asking, during the course, do you provide help on issues which we encounter when we do labs or we do practice at home?
Oh, of course, we will be providing help. That's the whole point point of joining the program, that you get a help. If you're stuck, that's what makes us different from others. You'll be getting support. As I said, I have a dedicated team. So we have a ticketing system. We also have a WhatsApp group. Inside that, you'll be asking questions. So usually our like my team will be there during the support hours, but after that I'll be there as well. I am based in UK, so we can cover a lot of UK timing. But um, mm, uh, if for some reason you don't get a response on WhatsApp group quickly, you can also have a ticketing. We'll explain the process. For those who have already registered, you will get someone from my team will call you next 72 hours explaining about the program and how you can make best out of this. There'll be videos as well. Best thing would be join the WhatsApp group so that we can help you inside the WhatsApp group, um, um, and answer your questions. For some reason, if we can't resolve your problem within maybe a couple of hours, we'll ask you or request you to raise a ticket so that we can track progress via ticketing system. Okay. Next one is, my team has answered your questions, Pramod. And Abdul Kadir, I don't have any IT background. You will give Linux for free and other courses help in IT? Absolutely, Abdul Kadir. We'll be giving Linux for beginners. Apart from that, we'll giving AWS, excuse me, how do you create a step-by-step guide on how do you create an account in AWS? How do you create machines in AWS? How do you create Kubernetes and Docker in AWS? We'll be doing how to create machines on Azure. How do you create an account in Azure cloud? So not only you'll be learning Docker and Kubernetes, but you're learning AWS and Azure from a beginner's point of view, and then Docker and Kubernetes on Azure, Docker and Kubernetes on AWS, DevOps Foundation, which will help you for DevOps, CI/CD, Jenkins, Git. These are some of the common things which are again commonly used on jobs. So jobs are covered as long as you do all we say you to do, and you'll definitely get a job, no doubt about it. I hope that answers your question as well. Okay, Next is Ravi saying, I'm a middleware administrator with 4 years of experience and I'm trying in DevOps and using DevOps in my resume. Could you guys help me with checking my CV from experience? How long will it take to have knowledge? Okay. Um, if your question is how long it will take you to get learn all this, I think if you're already working on DevOps, then you should be. It should not take more than 8 weeks in my view, Ravi. It should not take more than 8 weeks. The reason why we have given you 60 days money back is that within 8 weeks you should be able to, if you do all the labs, which you should be able to do, you should be able to complete all the labs in within 8 weeks, and you should be able to get a job within 8 weeks. Oh, okay. Now it might take slightly longer, but it will give you confidence that you'll get a job. Sometimes it takes longer. It might take a slightly longer to get a job, but it will make you empower you enough to get a job that you know that you'll be confident. That's what I'm sure confident about it. And our CV review uh, uh, bonus will help you so that you can send us a CV. Ravi, if you've already paid for the program, you will have my team will help you on how you can reach out to us for your CV review. Okay, Naveen is saying another question. One question. I think there's many questions are coming. Guys, keep these questions coming. How are we doing with time? Are we? How much time is left? Oh, can you go back to the previous? Are we done with the timing?
Yes, so the timer is already up.
Oh, okay. Can you go back to the previous slide and let me, guys? The timer is up. I'm going to close all this now. I'll take 3 or 4 questions which are from the bottom one. Can you come back to the last with the timer 0? Make the timer 0, please. Yep. Can you move the timer 0 so I know that now? Now I'm sorry, guys. I understood it now. The bonus will be expired now. The bonus that we have done, which is about on AWS, will be gone now. So I still have a lot of questions. Gosh. So let me do one thing. Let me leave it. Can you make the timer to 0? Simran, can you please make the timer? It's gone now. Can you make timer 0, please? Who has the control of screen? Is it Simran or go back to the previous? Move the slider to 0. Do you know how to move it to 0? Okay, let's not worry it then. Okay, let's not worry. Can you go back and put it whatever timer is coming? Forget about it. Just leave it to Kubernetes 03. Let me share my screen, guys. Sorry for that. Okay, there's still a lot of guys, and I have a lot of questions unanswered, and I don't want to leave. Make myself presenter. Show my screen. So I think my screen is there. Don't worry about timer. I'll continue. I have still a lot of questions. I was not expecting these many questions, but I'm glad that means people still have doubts. So I'll continue that bonus as long as while I'm in the webinar, while I'm the free class. I'll continue as soon as this session is over. I've answered all the questions. We'll be closing this. Ravi, thank you. I paid. Brilliant, Ravi. Reach out to my team and they will help you with. Ask in WhatsApp group, join in WhatsApp group, and we'll tell you how you can register for this or how you can get hold of your CV or help you. Naveen is saying from the experience, one second. Naveen is a different question. So all our trainings will be on Ubuntu Linux based. Do we need Ubuntu machine or Windows and Mac is good for to go? It's a very good question. And another thing, and I'll come to Windows as well because that question might come. Other might have that question. So Naveen, how we're going to do is yes, we are going to do all the things on Ubuntu because that's very common and we have done and tested all the labs on Ubuntu. So whether you have a Windows or a Mac or anything, we are going to give you a step-by-step instructions to create an account in Azure. On that, you'll be creating Azure machines. We'll create 3 machines. Maximum in the free account, you can create 2 machines, but we are creating into 2 regions, and we're going to we are going to map these 2 regions, or we're going to pair these 2 regions so that you can run free. Everything is free on those 2 regions. So 3 machines, master node in one region, worker node in another region, and you map, and we'll be installing Ubuntu. So you'll be connecting to these machines from from either Mac or Windows. If you're using Windows, you'll be using PuTTY. Instructions are all inside the program. If you're using Mac, then you'll be using something called as terminal, and instructions are again on the portal for you to connect. Now, later we also have a lab, because sometimes someone said, oh, can I add a Windows? I have a Windows based application. So we are going to add, sorry for that. We are going to add Windows machine inside as a Windows as a worker node inside the Kubernetes cluster. Now, master node will always be Linux as of today. If tomorrow the support comes on master node for worker for Windows, we'll add that. But for now, lab and certification and training, everything is on um, master node on Linux, and worker node can be Windows. So we have added a lab on how to add a worker node with Windows in that cluster. So if you need any Windows based application, you preferably run it on Windows based machine. So that will be also covered for you. I think who was that question from? I forgot. Okay, Vinay is saying Docker and Kubernetes training will be on Azure or AWS. So Docker and Kubernetes training, like we'll be deploying. Docker and Kubernetes can be run anywhere, Vinay. You can run it on Windows. Sorry, you can run it on AWS. You can run it on. Sorry, Docker and Kubernetes can be deployed anywhere as long as you have an operating system, Linux operating system. That Linux operating system can be on-premise. You can be on your laptop. It can be on Azure. It can be on AWS. We have tested all this on Azure cloud because later when we do more advanced Kubernetes training or more advanced Kubernetes labs, we will need load balancer. We will need storage, which is a NFS mount. We need monitoring. All those things we have done tested on Azure, so we'll be doing in Azure. Apart from that, we'll be doing Azure Kubernetes service. We'll be doing AWS Kubernetes service. You'll be doing all that. I hope that makes sense. Any other question which I've missed? There are a lot of questions I can see still. Oh gosh. Guys, I still see a lot of unanswered questions at the top. I'm not sure whether we have time or you still want answers. Maybe a lot of these questions are already covered, but now is the time, or I'll take these questions. I'll go and read all the questions and take up questions, and we'll close this. Any other question from your side? Another one, Ellen, thank you very much for the program. So for welcome to the program, there's another one's Anil and Robin, PAR. Abdul Qadir, I think you've already registered. Brilliant. Welcome to the program. You'll be getting and learning. It's my kids. I think they want me to wrap it up. Meenakshi, anything else do you want me to cover, please?
Yeah, there
Any other question?
Yeah, there are a few technical questions.
Yes, please. Let them shoot them, please.
Yeah, so it's like how SOA is different from microservice. This question is from Manjunath.
Manjuna, that's a big topic. So SOS, service-oriented architecture, will be microservices. I'll park that. I'll probably not take that question because that's something outside my pay grade or my remit. But my do we still have Ramesh? Or Ramesh, do you want to pick that, or we'll cover that question later? So or let me pick it. So so containers, sorry, the service-oriented architecture are on the same principle, but those services you run, if you're deploying out on a companies used to do service-oriented architecture where you deploy services, but you were packaging all the services inside one big SOA server or infrastructure in one single application. That has gone now, and companies don't want to do that, because if that deployment, if that SOA archive, we call SAR, SOA archive, if that goes down, your entire application is not available, and scaling up that becomes difficult as well. So these same services, service-oriented architecture, you deploy them into containers. That's what. So it's like next incarnation of that, I would say, in layman's simple terms. Next one, please.
Yeah, the next question again from Syed, and I think we covered it. Like, do we need to know Java to work with Kubernetes?
No. So there's no programming. You don't need any Java, .NET, PHP, Python, nothing. It's no coding. Unless you want a developer CKED, unless you're coming in developer program, in developer, whatever development you're doing, whether .NET, Java, you'll be containerizing the application. So guys, it looks like how can I get the bounce such as Abdul Qadir is saying, still another question. How can I get the bonuses such as AWS, Linux, and Azure? So Abdul Qadir, our software is automated. So since you have registered now, we have an automation inbuilt. You'll be getting these bonuses automatically. If you hit any problem, someone in my team will give you a call over the next 72 hours. So don't worry, you're covered. You'll be getting all these bonuses as well already inside the program. If you go inside under the self-study, you'll be getting that. Don't worry. We'll be having a live session, so we'll be teaching and explaining, and there'll be video as well for you covering on that. Don't worry, you're all covered. I think still there are a lot of questions, guys, are there. So I think the bonus we have retired. Let me retire this bonus as well. And now all the bonuses, this AWS bonus is gone. We also have YouTube channel where on a weekly basis we load or we upload the videos on a weekly basis. So you can subscribe by going to K21Academy.com/Docker Kubernetes. And a lot of you guys have already registered for the program. So stay on WhatsApp group. Make sure you join WhatsApp group. But there's still guys who are doubtful or who are still borderline, who are still not decided. We'll still continue to support. And for you guys, we have a free Telegram group, which you can join. Those who have already paid, I would suggest you come on WhatsApp group because most of the time I'll be in WhatsApp group. I also go once in a while in Docker and Kubernetes community where we have, I think now much more members. This screenshot looks a little bit older one. So we have around lot more bigger audience in this free group, which is t.me/Docker Kubernetes. So you can come here and Docker Kubernetes. Okay, so just to do a quick recap for everyone else, why my screen is not moving? Hold on. Yeah, okay, sorry. So as I said, this program, I have to reiterate one final time. Those who still want, you can continue to get it as long as I said we have 50 seats, limited seats. You can get it on, but this price can increase anytime. So if it goes higher, it's going. That means it's going higher, and you might lose these. So AWS bonus is gone, guys. So those who have registered, big congratulations. AWS bonus is no more available. After this time, you will not get the AWS Kubernetes on Docker and Kubernetes on AWS. That bonus is gone. But the other bonuses are still there. You will definitely get Linux for everyone. But CI/CD, DevOps, that will be expiring as we move or will be adding for you. Vinay is saying, will I get WhatsApp message group? Yeah, so Vinay, if you've registered for the program, you will get it. And the link to join WhatsApp group is already inside the email that you've registered or through which you've registered. You should have received that join. If you're registered, yes, you should have received an email, or within next 15 days, you'll get an email with the link to WhatsApp group. I'll be there in WhatsApp group as well, in that WhatsApp group. And if for some reason, if you don't worry, someone will give you a call. Everyone who has registered, you will get a call in next 72 hours. We'll try to reach you. If not, we'll leave a message and say we tried and calling you. And you will also get an email in case if we can't reach to you. Yeah, I think that's pretty much I've said. Anything else I might have missed? Simran, another Simran or Sam or Vinay, please call me as I want to do Azure Architect as well. Vinay, sure. So if you have shared, Simran or Sam from my team will give you a call. And I hope you have given your number. If you don't mind, can you share your number as well, Vinay, again? And Sam from my team will give you a call, or Simran will give you a call. There are two Sam or two Simrans. Anything else I missed? So it's is it US, Vinay? +1. I'm assuming it's US. Just confirm me. Okay, I think it's US. Canada, yes. Okay.
US. So the team is busy with the calls. They will pick it, and I
Great.
think we have covered everything for now.
Brilliant, Mridakshi, and sorry for taking it. Has taken a much longer than I usually do. We've gone how much time? 3:30. Okay, so we've gone how many hours extra? Wow, 3 hours 20 minutes. Thank you very much, guys. You still see a lot of you guys are still here. So thank you for attending this free class. I hope it was valuable. I hope it was every point was valuable. We try to add value as much as we can. I hope you've learned something. Let my team know if you need anything else, any other topic that you think we should be doing these trainings on, and we'll be more than happy to help. Kamlesh is saying, done with my registration. Welcome, Kamlesh, brilliant. A lot of guys are there. I've not taken everyone's name, but I would love to see you inside the live. Will be having a lot of fun inside the program. So make sure you join WhatsApp group. Don't forget to join it's important WhatsApp group so we can give you a lot of information. And yes, Kamlesh, we would love definitely I would love and trust me, it's going to be fun. It's going to be very, very game changer, life changer, no doubt about it. So with that, this is Atul and my entire team. And first of all, a big thank you to Ramesh as well. Without him, it would not have been possible. Simran, big thank you to you. Sam, another Simran from my team. Mrigakshi, Harsh, thank you. Big thank you for entire team. There are a lot of others like Neha, Yamni, Amit, and other trainers without which it would not have been possible. And thanks each one of you for still here as well. And big congratulations for those who have registered for the program. Guys, take care. And think there's one more couple of more messages. Please, what is the WhatsApp number? Okay, Eddie, WhatsApp is a group on which we have, if you've registered, you will be getting a link in your email. You should have received an email. And if not, don't worry. My team is going to give everyone, those who have registered, call in next 72 hours to make sure that you've got everything. The link to the email, sorry, WhatsApp group should be in the email that you've received, and we'll help you. Don't worry about it, Eddie. With that, this is Atul. Once again, big thank you, and I hope you got a lot of valuable information out of this program. Those who have not registered, keep an eye on your email. We'll be sending you the replay. And those who have registered, I would love to see you inside the program. Start with module 1 and module 2, well done videos, and we'll be joining on a weekly live interactive sessions with you. With that, thank you everyone. Take care and bye for now.